many ways to start a story, just like there are many reasons to tell one. Things happen. We win, we lose. I wish my mother would win, or at least keep a partner in her life. They seem to leave her like she suddenly developed some sort of plague. At least this one didn't die. I think her issue is age. They keep getting younger and younger. Pretty soon, I'll have to start watching the boys at my high school. Off to a good start, right? Here we are again. Another school year, another journal book of letters to you. I like starting one at the beginning of the school year and another at the start of the summer. Last year, I almost made it through an entire journal. Mom says I'm insane for writing you, but I know you read these. I know you hear these. You're a big part of my life, Nana. Here or there. You always have been. You always will be. Of course, with me going to be a writer, I expect this one to be the best. In fact, I'm going to make it the best. Try my hardest to be literary. Even though my mother tells me, "Violet, they're journal entries. Do you have to put down everything everyone said?" Yes. I want these to be entertaining to you, Nana. If I stood in front of you, I would do the voices. This is the next best thing. Here we go. Page 1. I grew this summer. I'm still short. I look more like my mom. Today in school, we did the typical September 11th thing, which I don't understand. Yes, it was a big deal, but don't you think the Hoover Dam was more of a big deal? Maybe because fewer people died. Los Angeles topped them all. I asked my teacher why we don't spend 3 days on Los Angeles, and she told me it's a totally different subject and falls under social studies and wars. Plus, September 11th jump-started it all. How did September 11th jump-start it all? Seriously, it was a long time ago. Mom said it's because September 11th was the first act in the terror war, but Los Angeles was an act of boldness by former North Korea. Speaking of Los Angeles, the Reflection Museum is set to open next summer. Radiation levels are down. I saw pictures. They built this huge tunnel, and you take this protected train ride through the devastation, and you end the tour in this safe building behind this glass wall that overlooks the entire remains of Los Angeles. It's cool, and then it's not. They say there are shadows of people on the rubble, and they are actually human remains. They were just fried there. Mom said we are so going. You know how she is about nuclear war. I'm glad they didn't tear it down. It should stay there forever. I lived most of my 15 years spent in an age where you don't know when or where the strike will happen. Maybe the Reflection Museum might make the enemy stop and think. I doubt it, but I hope. Vi. September 12th. I swear I had the worst day. 9 days into school and my friend Mackenzie already doesn't want to go back. Ricky Scallon was making fun of her blue hair. Hello, it was an accident. We didn't mean for it to turn blue. I can't tell you how many times I was called to the office or yelled at. Miss B, why haven't you done your science work? Miss B, turn that shirt inside out. You know the dress code. Miss B, is it true you called Ricky Scallon an ass in front of Mr. Bolkorski? Then we had a bio drill. Miss B, where is your ERB? I didn't have it. Let's be real. If we get hit with a chemical weapon, the emergency readiness band is not going to do me any good. By the time I'd fumble the zipper on the wristband, pull out the injection, and get up enough nerve to inject myself, I'd be history. I failed every test. I'd be dead. I did better on the CPR test. I even broke the computer's rib cage 6 times. The principal said if I don't pass the next test, they're going to be forced to buddy system me. That's where they make an emergency readiness champ be responsible for you. I'll probably get stuck with Becky Newman. Oh, yeah, like I want her injecting me. Mom said, "Violet, just learn to do it and you won't have to worry." I say it's useless anyhow. My father tells me it's useless. Why bother? Besides, what are the odds? The world will be the same. I won't see anything in my lifetime. All the big stuff happened before I was even old enough to know it happened. Vi. September 13th. The world has really gone bad. Mackenzie showed up at school, and I didn't even recognize her. She was wearing a skirt and nice shirt, and her hair was pulled back in a band. I didn't even think she could pull all the hair back. You know how curly and wild it gets. She even had on, get this, lipstick. Mackenzie! She said to me, "I want to look like a girl." I told her, "Mackenzie, you can look like a girl without looking prissy." Then Mackenzie told me she was tired of looking like a tomboy, and she was joining this new after-school girls' club called Pretty in Pink. I never heard of it before. You would think I would have heard about something named that lame. She said it is a big club with all the girly girls. She told me that the club watched pop boy band videos, took field trips to the mall, and read teen romances. She wants me to join. I don't think so. She even painted her fingernails a color that wasn't blue or black. What happened to my friend? I'm kind of depressed. Vi. September 14th. Mackenzie is such a liar. I believed her, too. There is no Pretty in Pink club, and she dressed like that because her father paid her to dress like that for the big family portrait. I can't believe she told me that. Now, I look stupid because I was running around school asking people what was wrong with her and why she was joining Pretty in Pink. Now, they all think I'm whack. Thank God it's Friday. I'm going to my dad's house. Mom tried to get me to stay home. She is doing her annual refill of the bomb shelter, where she starts taking out the old and putting in the new. This is Jumpstart weekend. No way am I gonna spend my entire weekend dehydrating beef jerky, packaging beans, and filling water bottles. I'd rather play Monopoly with Uncle Phil, who, by the way, cheats and steals my money when I get up to go to the bathroom. Yeah, I know, don't go to the bathroom. But did you ever try to play an entire game of Monopoly without going? I end up wiggling so bad in my chair I don't concentrate anyhow. Let's see. Pee my pants or have Uncle Phil steal my Monopoly money? Even though I hate when he cheats to win, I still would not want to pee my pants. Vi. September 15th. I didn't go to my dad's. He broke his big toe. I don't understand what that has to do with anything. He said, "I can't drive, Violet." "What do you mean you can't drive?" I asked. "I broke my toe. The big one." "Yeah, but you still have 9 more toes," I told him. "Use them to drive." I think it was just an excuse, a way to torture me. He told me to stay home and bond with my mother. I know she's your daughter and all, but you know my mom. This morning, she had me in the kitchen counting beans and putting them into little bags. Rations. I asked her where she got all the neuroticism from. She said you. But I remember when you used to do this stuff. You weren't weird. You were fun. Mom is nuts. It's like she's trying to be all serious about it, as if no one will take her serious if she doesn't. Does that make sense? No, Violet, honey. Only 50 beans in each little packet. You have 51, she told me while we were preparing. Mommy, it's 1 bean. What difference is 1 bean gonna make? She chuckled. She actually chuckled in that sarcastic way. Violet, you may think that way now, but if you're starving, that 1 bean will make a difference. Sure, I highly doubt 1 bean is going to make a difference to me if I'm starving. 1 strip of beef jerky, yeah, I can see it. 1 bean? No way. And where was my brother Paul during all this torturous bean counting? Out. Gone. Playing football with his friends. So I asked her why he didn't have to help. Well, you know. she said. Paul is older. He has things to do. Football is a thing to do? I have things to do. Like what? She asked. Like, I don't know, listen to music. Oh, you can listen to music while we do rations. Not my music, I pointed out. Your music. Violet, she snickered. It's not my music. It's patriotic music, so it's everyone's music. Why is that? I asked. Why do we only listen to patriotic music when we do this? Well, your Nana said it is a must. It gives us a sense of why we're doing this. It makes us feel patriotism and love for our country, which is why we want to survive, so we can rebuild this country we love so much. Rebuild a country after it's gone to hell, I stated. Do you know how hard that would be? Oh, don't say that. You don't know that the country would go to hell. If we're living off of 50 bean rations, things aren't that good. Still, she said, listening to it is enriching. Do you realize we listen to it so much I'm the only kid in my whole school that not only knows what the song is, but actually knows all the words to This Land Is Your Land? She reached over and tapped my hand. Good for you. That's not a bad thing. How is it not a bad thing? I asked. It's useful. You never know when you'll need to know it. Just like we'll never know if we need to use these rations. Paul should be helping, I sulked, trying to sneak past the fact that I really wasn't bean counting. Paul is busy. Besides, he doesn't enjoy doing rations with me like you do. We always have so much fun. I stared at my mom. I wanted to tell her that I hated doing rations, and bean counting was not fun. But I couldn't tell her. Why? She likes doing it so much, and I didn't want to hurt her feelings. So I kept my mouth shut, and my fingers busy, all while listening to the same patriotic songs over and over. After we finished for the day, I went to my room and blasted my own music through the headphones. I did so for an hour straight, too. If I didn't, I would never get the song This Land Is Your Land out of my head. Then, I'd be out with my friends and end up embarrassing myself when I unconsciously started to sing it. Trust me, it happened before, and I'm still not living it down. Vai. September 16th. As if the weekend wasn't bad enough, we spent the next morning organizing more stuff in the shelter. Whatever happened to going to church, kicking back, and watching a movie or something? Uncle Gene brought over 2 black garbage bags of clothes for my mom. Why? So we can keep them in the bomb shelter. Mom has a theory that all extra clothes will come in handy one day. We can layer them in the nuclear winter. Use them as blankets, bandages, or even, if need be, as clothes. Good thing social services doesn't come out to the house. One look at our basement and the old bags of clothes, they'd tag my mom as a hoarder. Uncle Gene keeps on bringing them over. Yeah, just what I want. Uncle Gene and Aunt Martha hand-me-downs. As if the end of the world wouldn't be hard enough, I'll be stuck wearing Aunt Martha's purple plaid, all-purpose Sears and Roebuck polyester suit. Yeah, let's eat 50 beans a day and dress badly. You know what my fear is, though? My fear isn't nuclear war. It's having the nuclear war hit before I get my first period. I should have had it already. But the doctors say I'm fine. Wait and see. They call me a late bloomer, because my mother was. So frustrating. It'll come. When the apocalypse comes. Can you imagine? Bombs fall, world's a mess, radiation levels are roasting, we're stuck in the shelter. 3 days later, my first period. And with all the other preparations, I know my mom won't have thought of that. I can see it. Mom, I got my first period. In the middle of nuclear war, I finally got my period. Oh, honey, how wonderful. You're a woman now. But unfortunately, we didn't stockpile any, things. She'll wink and do that crinkle face of hers. I can't run out to the store, obviously. I'm sorry. I know. Here, use Uncle Gene's shirt. Forget that. If I am having this scary premonition, you know it will happen. I have $8 left from my allowance. I think I'll run up to the store and buy my own things to stockpile just in case. There's a reason God has me not getting my period yet. He's waiting for a really good joke. Vi. September 17th. Oh, great. Just great. As if things weren't bad enough, what has Mackenzie got me into? Today, I got called into the office again, and I blame Mackenzie. The principal said to me, "Miss B, were you telling people and asking people about a Pretty in Pink club?" I grumbled. "Yes, but—" "Can you tell me in your own words what a Pretty in Pink club is?" "Why?" "I just want to hear it from you. Is it like a Molly Ringwald fan club?" "Who?" I asked. "Molly Ringwald. I just love her. I can't believe you don't know of Molly Ringwald." "Should I?" He nodded. "Yes, Pretty in Pink. My goodness, you know all the words to the song This Land Is Your Land, but you don't know Molly Ringwald?" "Huh. How do you know I know all those words?" He sat back, kind of smug. "I've heard you singing it at your locker." I grumbled. "Now, since we've established you don't know Molly Ringwald, in your words, what is a Pretty in Pink club?" "Well, it's for girls. Boys can come if they like that stuff. Girly girl stuff. They watch boy band videos, go to the mall, all that girl stuff. But it's not—" "Wonderful idea." At that point, I was confused. Then he goes on to tell me that they are going to start a Pretty in Pink club, and they want me to be the head of it, since it was my idea. I tried to say it was all Mackenzie, but he told me not to be modest. Me? Modest? Please. So, great. Did I tell him no? No, I couldn't. So now I'm stuck being leader of a girl club after school on Wednesdays. Bet me Becky Newman joins. God. You know, I could use this to my advantage. I could use this chance to turn the prissy girls into better girls. They're all pretty mindless anyhow. They don't really know how to think for themselves. I can convince them that wearing black all the time is the popular fashion thing to do. All the really cool girls in New York wear black. I feel better about all that now. But not about the other thing. Here I thought I was being prepared. What did it get me? An hour chat with my mother. She found my surplus of post-nuclear feminine protection and questioned me. "I can't believe you would hide something like this from me," she said. "Are you embarrassed about it?" "No." "You shouldn't be embarrassed." "I'm not," I said. "Then why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want you to be mad," I said. "Mad? Mad? Honey, why would I get mad?" I shrugged. "I didn't think you could handle it." "Well, of course I could handle it," she told me. "Violet, sweetie, this is a big deal." I scoffed. "No, it isn't." Yes, it is. A huge deal." "Do you have any questions?" she asked. "No." "Are you sure?" "Positive." "How are you feeling?" "I'm fine," I replied. "No pain, cramps, anything?" "Kind of a dumb question to ask since I just said I was fine," I told her. "Why are you asking me? Did Paul say something to you?" "I had a headache yesterday when we went to the store." Mom's eyes widened. "Paul knows about this?" "Well, yeah, he drove me." Then she did something I couldn't believe. She sighed out, heavy, like with her whole body. It was weird. "Mom, what is wrong with you?" "Okay, just bear with me." She held up her hand. "I'm just a little hurt that you would go to your brother about this before me. I just always had this vision in my mind of us going feminine protection shopping when you got your first period." "Feminine protection shopping?" I asked. "That's really sick." "It's a mother thing." "Did your mother do that with you?" "No. That's why I wanted to do it with you," she said. "I felt like I missed out on sharing it with my mom." Why would that bother you? Figures you would say that considering you didn't share your first period with me. I chuckled. Would be kind of hard to do since I didn't get my first period yet. What? You didn't? No, I said. I really would tell you. Then if you didn't, why are you buying feminine protection? In case the war comes and I get my period. Mom's face then lit up. It lit up. She smiled and hugged me. Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. Look at you being the little prepared survivalist. Way to think ahead. Then she proceeded to plaster me with butterfly kisses. How weird can she get? How many moms out there are proud of their daughter for buying protection for a possible end of the world? I live in insanity. Bye-bye. September 18th. Today, I decided that I wasn't going to write about anything negative. I wasn't going to write about my mom, school, my dad, or anything else that makes me angry. That's what I decided. Then I realized I'd have nothing to write, so tossed that idea out the window. You certainly can tell it's September. Momentum is high. Mom is on her terror alert kick again. She got Paul and me pocket pagers 2 years ago. Really? Who has those? Nurses' aides, that's who. Nurses' aides in nursing homes. That's where she got the idea. And she sends text messages to us stating we are having a terror alert drill. Meaning, depending on the drill, wherever we are, we have to take action or cover. This was supposed to be for the summer months. Well, today I was sitting in science and I felt the vibration in my pocket. Not only did I feel it, I heard the buzzing, because the room was really quiet. Mr. Bain looked up. Who has a phone on? He asked. It's against the rules, I know this, but I promised my mother I would not shut it off, just like she promised me that she wouldn't do one of those terror alerts while I was in school. So what was I gonna do? I couldn't reach into my pocket to shut it off. He would see me. So I did what every other kid was doing. I started looking around for the culprit. Mr. Bain walked down the aisle and stopped by me. I knew it. I slid in my seat. Miss B, care to tell me why you are buzzing? I'm not buzzing, I replied, and really, I wasn't. It was the pager. I see. He leaned down nearer. You are? Why do you have your phone on? It's not a phone, it's a pager. The class laughed. I'm sure that will be the talk at lunch. Vi B has a pager? A pager? How trailer park? Whatever. Do you want me to tell you the truth or a lie? By all means, the truth, he said. My mother makes me leave it on. The class laughed again. Your mother is paging you? He asked. Probably, more than likely, yes, I grumbled. Why? Does she need something from the store? Again, the class laughed. Oh yeah, he sure was witty. Nope, she goes to the store on her own, thank you, I answered. It's for something else. And you say your mother is paging you? That's what I said. Why don't I believe that? I shrugged. Give me the pager, Miss B. He held out his hand. No, sir, I'd rather not. Is it because maybe your mom isn't paging you, but a friend? No. Why would I have a friend that has a pager? Unless I have a friend that's like 60, and that wouldn't be good, I answered. It's because my mother really is paging me, and it's embarrassing. Pager. He held out his hand. Fine. I pulled it from my pocket and slapped it in his hand. Do you mind if I see if it's from your mom? Torture me. Go on. I slid further down. He was smug, as if he expected some love letter text or drug deal. Mr. Bain took the pager, shut off the buzzing, and read aloud. At first, he was reading it real bold. Then he slowed down when he realized the message wasn't normal. This is a drill, he read. You have 15 minutes, 3 in... coming. He looked at me. Russian ICBMs? I nodded. Someone in the class shouted out,
What's an ICBM?
That irritated me. Intercontinental ballistic missile, moron. It's a nuclear warhead that can travel up to 10,000 miles. And then I rattled on, as if possessed. Only 3 countries have those capabilities: the US, Russia, and China. Although most use IRBM, intermediate range ballistic missiles, or short range, SRBMs. And countries like England stick to sub-launched or SLBM. An IRBM is what North Korea used on Los Angeles. All of them allot a certain time frame to get cover, which is why my mother drills me. Since the new Cold War, although Russia is a viable threat, our biggest threat comes from ground implantation, or dirty bombs, which give no warning, and my mother's drills are useless. I sighed out. Good God, did I just say all that? I'm my mother's robot. The room went completely quiet. Mr. Bain folded his arms and looked at me, shocked.
Miss B, why do you know all this?
Because my mother drilled it in our heads.
And these drills are designed to do what?
Test me, in case they are real, I answered.
Had this been real?
I laughed and looked at my watch. We'd be close to toast. If it was real, we'd have 15 minutes to get cover. But if this really was real, I'd be running home, and I can make it there in 5. The short range gives less time. Ground implanted, I fluttered my lips. Pray. Mr. Bain paused for a second, looked at me, and did that teacher sigh.
Well, I'm happy your mother looks out for your well-being, but the drills are in vain. We aren't getting hit with nuclear weapons.
He handed me my pager.
Turn the pager off, Miss B.
He walked away and told us all to return to our books. I put the pager back in my pocket, but I didn't turn it off. I'd rather have to answer to Mr. Bain on why I left it on than to answer to my mom on why I hadn't. Vi. September 19th. You guessed it. Today was Pretty in Pink Day. I thought for sure, since it was a new club and since it didn't have advertising time, that it would be very small. For sure, the room would have only 3 or 4 people, or even be empty. After all, who wants to be in a club named Pretty in Pink? I must have been blonde for half the day, because I didn't really pay attention to all the girls wearing pink. I was dreading the club so badly, I thought it was my imagination. No, it wasn't. I show up with Vice Principal Owens, and the room is packed, all with girls wearing pink. Vice Principal Owens said,
Okay, girls, I think you all know Violet B. She will be heading the club. It was her idea.
First, and this is one of the main reasons I hate prissy girls, they all giggled. Giggled. They covered their mouths and turned their heads as if laughing was going to release a blast of bad breath or highly contagious disease. I really hate them all. Then Becky Newman says, Her? She's going to run Pretty in Pink? Don't you think she should dress like a girl? Vice Principal Owens waved out his hands.
All right, enough. Miss B did come up with the idea.
Fine, Becky said. But if she's going to lead the club, I vote she has to wear pink. I stepped forward. I vote you have to wear black. She said, I vote you stop wearing your hair in a ponytail. I vote you dye your hair purple, I told her. Well, I vote you stop shopping at the thrift store with your welfare mother. And I vote you kiss my ass. Okay, well, that's all it took. I may not like my mom. I may talk trash about my mother, but no one else is allowed. I don't know what happened, but as soon as I said the word ass, my fist went flying out into Becky Newman's nose. Suffice to say, I'm not running Pretty in Pink anymore. Becky Newman is. I got suspended, too, for 3 days. Great. Just great. I told my mom, and she wasn't very happy either.
You don't just go punching people in the nose, Violet,
Mom scolded. It wasn't just any person. It was Becky Newman.
I don't care.
She called you a welfare mother.
I don't care.
She said you're a lesbian.
Violet.
No, she did, and I told her that you can't be a lesbian. Not with the number of boyfriends you have had. I shrugged. Then, she called you a...
Enough.
Mom stopped me.
3 days. School just started, and you're off for 3 days.
We can bond. Wrong thing to say. It happened again. Her face lit up.
Violet, she smiled. I have this really cool idea. Since you're home, we can try it together.
Oh boy.
I want to dehydrate new things. Not the same old, same old. We'll experiment on gourmet items, and then eat them the next day. What do you think?
You want to dehydrate gourmet foods? I asked. That's a new one.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like, I don't know, SpaghettiOs.
SpaghettiOs are not gourmet food. Mom snickered.
If you're starving, they will be.
Is that her favorite line? Where most parents say, the poor kids in Africa. My mom associates everything with the end of the world. 3 days at home. 3 days of dehydrating SpaghettiOs and then eating them. Maybe I ought to just grovel to Vice Principal Owens. Vi. September 20th. Did you ever stop to wonder what maybe you did differently with my mom? She's doing it again. Can you believe that? My mother is going to get married. Again. Only this time, she is being sneaky about it. I guess so people don't say to her, "Why are you getting married again?" I slept in, which I didn't plan. When I woke up, my mother told me I was going to be working on oats. Packing oats is almost as bad as packing beans. Good thing, though, I don't have to count the oats. Then she told me,
Violet, I have a friend coming over, and I'll need you to stay in the kitchen while we talk.
Who's the friend? I asked.
No one you know.
Well, this can't be much of a friend if your child doesn't know this person.
Don't worry about it. He's a friend, and we have some important matters to discuss.
He? I questioned, knowing full well what he meant. I have been through many he situations with my mom.
Don't worry about it, she said.
Really, I didn't, especially when he arrived. His name was David, and I figured my mother was right. He was nothing to worry about. He had to be just a friend. I mean, he was short. His hair was blonde, a big no-no for her. He wasn't 10 years younger than her, another no-no. He was closer to her own age. He said he's an astronomer, and I'm not certain what the call for that is. I highly doubt it paid that much or had decent health care. But the job alone told me he was intelligent, another trait my mother steers clear of. I stopped worrying about the relationship thing, but I was still curious. I mean, why didn't she want me to hear what she was saying? Why? So I asked if I could listen to my music, and when she said yes, I put on the headphones. I didn't turn on the sound, but I moved my head and occasionally sang out like I was listening to songs. I was actually listening to them. I know, eavesdropping is wrong. But she shouldn't have told me I wasn't allowed to be in the room when they discussed important matters. I needed to know what these important matters were. They whispered, which made it difficult. After the "you look good" comments between them, they started.
I can't believe it's getting close, Mom said.
Time flies, doesn't it?
He asked.
Sort of like waiting for Christmas now. You get all prepared, make arrangements, and when the day comes, poof, it's over.
Can you believe it's been 3 months that we've had this in gear?
Mom asked. Had what in gear? I wondered. Talk louder. Talk more. David said,
We got a lot accomplished in 3 months.
You did. You've done so much.
I had the money to work with,
he said.
The financial side was easy. And you've done your fair share, too.
Mom laughed.
As much as I could from here. I tried, though.
You have a brilliant mind.
Good thing they didn't see me, because I rolled my eyes. Mom, brilliant? I think he forgot to add crazy.
My brilliant mind is nothing without your brilliant mind, Mom said. Oh my God. Is this adult flirting? Just when I was about to get really annoyed with them, my mom made a comment about getting along well with David. That's when David said it. The line that would stake through my heart, make my throat get a lump in it. He said, "Good, because we're going to be living together for a very long time." What? Living together? When I put two and two together, it all made sense. Together, plans, money, arrangements, the big date. No, she was. She was getting married again, to a very delusional man who thought the woman who lived by the rule of short-term marriages was going to live with him for a very long time. No, it can't be true. Stepdaddy 4? That couldn't be true. That's true, Mom said. You know, I'm kind of excited and scared.
One would think you're a pro at this,
he told her. Hello? Yeah, she is. Mom asked, when do you think the news will get out?
It has to be soon, right? I mean, really, this is huge.
I rolled my eyes. Really, it wasn't that huge. She'd done it before. Mom continued, I'm going to have to tell Violet before everyone else finds out. I shook my head. How thoughtful. Tell me. David asked,
How do you think she'll handle it?
She's young, not like Paul. She'll understand after I explain it, I think. Wait, stop. Paul knew? Oh, great. Just great. Mom was marrying a stargazer, and the sane one was the last to know. I was so mad that I turned on my headphones and blasted the music. I didn't want to hear any more. Vi. September 21st. I called the school last night, even though I knew no one was there. Who would think Vice Principal Owens would check his voicemail after 6 p.m.? Anyhow, I told him I wanted to negotiate my suspension, that things were tense at home, it was a potentially explosive situation, and someone could die. Of course, when he called back, he said I was overreacting. Anyhow, I asked if I could come back to school, and he said I could do so on 2 conditions. First, I had to apologize to Becky Newman for punching her in the nose. Fine. Second, I had to join the Pretty in Pink Club. Under protest, but fine. But I wasn't going down alone. My suspension was suspended, and the first order of business before I even apologized to Becky was to tell Mackenzie, and our friend Anne, that they were joining Pretty in Pink. No way, Mackenzie said. I'm not joining that club. It's your fault, I told her. I wouldn't be in this mess if you hadn't told me that lie in the first place. Plus, if you don't join, I'm telling everyone you like Ricky. Mackenzie doesn't really like Ricky, but the threat alone was enough. She agreed and said she would dye her hair pink for the club. That didn't sound like a bad idea. We didn't get an answer from Anne. She's on a talk strike again. She refuses to talk. She does that all the time, striking. Last time it was a hunger strike, which didn't last long, about 3 hours, and then Mackenzie and I got pizza. Anne was on strike because she was mad at her mother for telling Becky Newman's mother that Anne had a wart on her toe and had to get it removed. Now, Becky won't quit telling everyone about Anne's wart. Why do mothers do that? Becky Newman's mother, of all people. We told Anne, just take off your sock and rub your wart toe on her. Anne didn't say anything. The strike thing. Mackenzie said she was going to spread the rumor that Anne got the wart from Becky's mother, who was walking around Anne's house without shoes. I told Anne, hey, at least your mother is not having a secret wedding. Mackenzie asked, whose mom is having a secret wedding? Mine, I answered. Again? Yeah, that's why it's a secret. I found out by eavesdropping. Who is it this time? Mackenzie asked. Do we know him? No, I don't even know him. His name is David, I said. Did your mom meet him through work? I shrugged. She might have. She writes those magazine articles. She probably interviewed him or something. Is he famous? I laughed. Hardly. He's an astronomer. Violet, that's not good, Mackenzie said. I mean, where could he really work? I don't think anyone hires astronomers. I think astronomy is really a hobby. Great. So he's unemployed. Probably, Mackenzie said. I have an uncle who's an astronomer, and he hasn't worked in like 20 years. I knew there was a reason my mother liked him, I said. You know how she likes those deadbeats. Does she know you know? Mackenzie asked. No, but check this out. Paul knows. She told Paul. I'm going to talk to Paul about this. Make sure you find out all that Paul knows before you confront your mother. That way she won't know you eavesdropped. That was a good idea. I couldn't get the situation out of my mind. So at lunch, I went and found Paul. Tell me straight. Don't beat around the bush, I told him. Who is David, and when is Mom marrying him? Paul just stared at me. He did that look that you said made him look like Pap. The old man crinkled forehead and raised eyebrows. Where did you hear this? He asked. David was at the house, and I was eavesdropping. And you heard them say they were getting married? Yep, just don't know when the big event is. I see. He nodded. I sighed out. Why was he being so secretive? Obviously I know, so no more hiding. Well, I asked. Did they mention the baby? Okay, you don't need to beat me with a bat for me to get the hint. Mom was pregnant, and this David guy was forcing her to get married. I walked away from my brother. I planned right then and there to have a serious talk with my mother the next day. It had to wait until the next day. I was too grossed out over the baby news, especially since I know where babies come from. Vi. September 22nd. I'm trying to get this done before I go with my father. I don't get time to write when I'm with him. He thinks it's silly that I write letters to you in my journal. He always has something smart to say about it. Then, he brings up the taco night incident. I still don't get what the big deal was. Although, I don't believe him when he says you threw a pan of taco meat at him and he left my mom over it. She's not in this world, Violet, he tells me. She won't even read the letters. In her own way, she will, I argued. Boy, talk about a supportive parent. Speaking of parents, I approached my mother, and I'm not feeling good about it. David was at the house again. He said he's in town for a week. After finding them huddled in secret conversation, I reached the boiling point and exploded. Nicely. I said, all right, enough. I know. Paul spilt his guts. So, come clean. Well, you should have seen the look on both of their faces. Mom asked, what are you talking about? You know, I said, the big event. All the planning. Violet is the last to know. I stood firm with my hands on my hips. I looked intimidating. Finally, my mother stood. Violet, I know this is a shock. You may even be scared. You bet I am, I told her. This will change my life. Mom nodded. When? I questioned. David answered that one. A few weeks. Closer to a month. Swell. But can I say something? I asked. When they nodded, I went on a soft rant. I just need to speak my piece, okay? But you barely know him. I barely know him. Being pregnant is no reason to get married. No, it's not, Mom said. Where is that coming from? Paul said you're pregnant. Paul is full of shit, Mom said. I breathed out in relief. You're not pregnant? No. She shook her head. Thank God. Then I paused. Wait, if she wasn't pregnant, then why was she marrying this guy? I thought I had it. I asked, are you afraid of being lonely in your old age? Mom laughed at me. What? Violet, what are you talking about? Him, I pointed. Why is he here? You're going to be living with him for a very long time. She nodded. I know. Can you handle that? I asked. I'll try. Try? Try? I shook my head. Violet, really, what choice do I have? I looked at the David guy. He sat there staring at his own hands. He said nothing at all. Mom, you have a choice. Choose to wait, okay? For once in your life, don't jump into this. Think of me. Think of Paul. We need time to adjust. Give us time. Give this David guy time. Yourself. Don't get married. Don't marry him. My mother looked at me for a second and then said, Fine. I won't marry David. David, is it okay if we don't get married? David shrugged. That's fine. Mom looked at me again. There. We aren't getting married. Happy? Very. Thank you. And that's all I said. I left it at that. I kissed my mother, gave a pat to David's back, and left to wait for my dad. Vai. September 23rd. What did I just do? I feel really bad. I think I ruined my mom's life. What if this David guy was actually the guy she might stay with for a few years? What if she actually liked him? I told my dad about it, and he laughed at me. He said, Violet, your mom will find another man. That might be true, but still. I didn't have a right to do that. The more I thought about it, the guiltier I felt. They wanted to get married, and now they aren't, because of me. I'll sit down and talk to them when I get home. I hope it's not too late. Vai. September 24th. It's already too late. I got home and tried to talk to my mom, and she just said, Violet, don't worry about it. We aren't getting married. I told her, but if you want to marry David, that's fine. I don't want to marry David. I thought you did. Don't be silly. What about the plans and the money spent? Mom smiled. Look what I got. Huh? She ran quickly from the room and returned with a box. She set it on the table. Check these out. She opened the box and pulled out a shiny silver object. It looked like cloth aluminum foil. What is that? Space-age blankets. Light, portable, and they keep in heat better than 10 wool blankets. Isn't that great? Great, I mumbled. Mom had taken the wedding money and bought space-age blankets, which are almost as much of a waste as a new husband is. I called Mackenzie. I told her, thank you for ruining my mother's life. How did I ruin your mother's life? You let me talk her out of getting married. So how is her not getting married ruining her life? What if she really liked the guy? I asked her. Then she wouldn't have changed her mind, Mackenzie said. Mackenzie had a point. We then went on talking about Anne and how Anne is not talking. My mother may have changed her mind about marriage, but at least she didn't change her mind about David. Maybe tomorrow I'll try to get to know him. Vai. September 25th. Oh my God, you will not believe my day. First, before I get into the good stuff, I think my mom and David are planning to get married again. David brought some big guy to our house named Bruce. I've never known a Bruce. Anyhow, David told my mom he was the best man, and he would make sure no one stormed in at the beginning. A security force for our wedding? Like my mom is expecting the paparazzi. She's a writer, not even a famous one at that. Oh, wait. What if David knows influential people, and that would be why they need security? That would be cool. Anyhow, back to my day. We had a bio drill today, and I died. The principal was so mad, she assigned me a buddy. Guess who it was? Yep, Becky Newman. I asked if it could be Mackenzie, and the principal said Mackenzie was barely saving herself. Becky Newman was not happy to be assigned as my buddy. She said, Violet, I swear to God, if I have to save you, I'll stick the injection right between your eyes. Nice. Very nice. Isn't she the humanitarian? I told her,
Thanks for the incentive to save myself. But the best? I guess it's not the best, it's pretty bad. But it's the biggest news. We had shop today. We were working with saws. Mr. Beltzman, the shop teacher, kept on saying to Anne,
Anne, pull back your long hair.
Anne ignored him.
Miss Palacky, pull back that hair.
Anne ignored him. She kept working on her project. Finally, he shot a rubber band at her and yelled,
Miss Palacky, pull back that hair before something happens.
Anne shot the rubber band right back and said, Nothing is going to happen. God. Well, not only did she break her talking strike, but at that second, just as she bent down to work on her project, we heard this motor sound. It sounded like something was caught. Anne started screaming. I asked, Anne, what's the matter? Did you screw up? Help! Help! She screamed. I'm stuck! I'm stuck! Then I noticed she wasn't checking her project up close. The right side of her hair was caught in the table belt, and her hair was getting sucked in. It's pulling my hair out, she yelled. Her face was getting closer and closer to her project and to her table saw. I screamed for the teacher, but before he could get there, Ricky yelled out,
I'll save you, Anne.
And buzz! He took his handsaw and freed Anne by running it over her stuck hair. He freed her all right. The right side of her hair was still stuck in the belt, but her head wasn't. Now, Anne doesn't have any hair on the right side. Okay, she has hair, but it is super short. She was crying. The boys in the room were clapping for Ricky, calling him a hero. I wonder if Ricky did it to be a hero, or if he knew he could get away with cutting off half of Anne's hair. Anyhow, they wouldn't even let Anne go home. She had to stay the entire day with half a head of hair. I like Anne and all, but I am sure glad it was her and not me. Maybe next time a teacher shoots a rubber band at her and warns her, she'll listen. Vi. September 26th. Anne's mother took her to get the rest of her hair cut off. Now it's super short and soldier-like. Her face looks huge. I told her to get bigger glasses and that may help. She doesn't think anything is funny. She said for sure she isn't coming to Pretty in Pink with us. Mackenzie thinks we should both cut our hair to show our support. No way. She's being all mean. Almost like that guy Bruce who has been hanging out at the house. I'm not getting what's up with him and my mother. Bruce is a big guy. Doesn't smile much. When he does, it's this half smile where only half his mouth raises. He's been talking a lot with my mother. In fact, he was there when I woke up this morning, watching the news. Oh, my God. What if he stayed the night? I wonder if David knows about this new budding relationship. Thinking about it, Bruce is more my mother's type. But I feel bad for David. I haven't tried to get to know David yet. Maybe it's not such a good idea, considering my mother is liking Bruce now. Tomorrow is Pretty in Pink, and Mackenzie and I are off to buy hair dye. Vi. September 27th. Something is seriously wrong with my mom, or at least something is seriously bothering her. Last night, when I got back from Mackenzie's with my pink hair, she didn't say anything. I kept asking what she thought, and all she said was,
It's fine, Violet.
No, really, it isn't fine. It's pink, I told her. Parents aren't supposed to like when their kids dye their hair pink.
If you did it to rebel, then it didn't work, did it?
She asked. I didn't do it to rebel or for a reaction from you. I did it for Pretty in Pink Club.
Then why does it matter if I get mad?
You're a mom. You're supposed to. I was all ready and armed with arguments.
Sorry to disappoint you,
she said, and walked away. So I knew something was up with her. That the whole David and Bruce thing exploded while I was out. But they're both still here, and they all are really quiet. Anyhow, forget the pink hair. I want my brown hair again. Nobody cares about pink hair the way we'd thought. Not that people are supposed to hate it, but they are supposed to tell me and Mackenzie, "What did you do to your hair?" We went to Pretty in Pink. We expected and were ready for Becky Newman and Brazilla, the new girl in school who is like 20 feet tall, to freak. Instead, they all loved our hair and asked where we got the dye. Becky also said she wants to have a Pretty in Pink party and we all dye each other's hair. I don't think so. Bring back being normal. Vi. September 28th. I can't write much today. I can't write at all. Something was bothering Mom. She told me today. It's bad, Nana. It's really bad. I don't even know how to write it. Vi. September 29th. I didn't go to school today because I couldn't clear my mind. But the more I thought about it, the more I didn't worry. I think my mom is overreacting to this whole situation. She is in her survivor mode, and you know how she gets. Where most people would get worried about the possible end of the world, she worries about the temperature some lake might get. And that was heavy on her mind, not the actual event. It could be a case of wishful thinking. And what is the actual event? My dear pessimistic mother said that we are going to be hit with a meteor. Not us, but everyone. The Earth. A big one, too. She and David and Bruce, along with a bunch of others, have been making plans for months. I don't believe it. I did yesterday, but I don't now. If we were close to being hit, and to doomsday, my mother wouldn't be so calm. Sorry, I don't care how much she fantasizes about the end of the world. It's a scary thought no matter who you are. And the same woman who freaked last year over a close tornado would not be rational over a meteor. You know, I was really upset when my mom told me. I called my father. He said it wasn't true and that he couldn't find anything about it on the news. He was right. You would think if some giant meteor were going to hit Earth in a few weeks, we'd all know about it. You would think that the government would tell us. I mean, if some astronomer guy no one really knows saw it, surely the big scientists that work for NASA saw it already, right? Yet we hear nothing about it. I asked my mother why no one but her and her friends knew, and she didn't have an answer. I asked the David guy, and he said he was sure the government knew because he sent them his findings. He just believes that the government doesn't want to announce it, because when they do, all hell will break loose. A little melodramatic, don't you think? It's people like David and my mother who start the rumors on the internet that make people panic. I will not be one of them. I have other things to think about. Of course, the only positive thing about a meteor hitting is thinking about Becky Newman standing on ground zero. Vi. September 30th. Nobody looks the same to me. No one. I went to the library and just stared at people. The main reason I went to the library was to look up the meteor. I couldn't find anything. But I kept looking at the people. Will that person live? Or that one? I didn't go with my father today. I wanted to watch and see what my mother was up to. I tried to talk to her about the meteor. It was useless. "Don't worry about it, Violet," she said. "How can I not worry about it?" I asked. "You said you didn't believe." "Don't believe. But when a big rock falls on your ass, I'm certain you'll be hearing my voice say, 'I told you so.'" No. Was it my imagination, or did my mother imply that she would let a meteor fall on my ass? Seems kind of unfair when I was only exercising my right to question. I think the thing that angered her the most was the fact that I went to my father. I heard them discussing rations this morning. That's the only thing that gnaws at me. They are determined and focused. I tried to ask her what the plan was, and again, she told me not to worry. With those three and Paul openly making apocalyptic plans in front of me, even if the meteor theory was remote, how can I not worry? I think tonight, while everyone is asleep, I'll investigate further. Vi. October 2nd. I have a headache that won't go away. I'm sorry I didn't write yesterday, but I stayed up all night and learned about meteors. I know we were told in school and through television about the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs. I found this really cool online devastation calculator. Stop. Did I call a devastation calculator cool? I'm turning into my mother. Anyhow, this calculator lets you put in the details of the meteor, and if you know where it is going to land, it will tell you what could happen. I'm pretty safe, I figure, unless the meteor is like 50 miles across and zooming right at us at super speed. But if that were the case, I don't think my mother would be getting together to plot a survival plan. The world would explode. Then again, I'm not safe if the meteor drops right on my ass, as my mother put it. I don't know what to think. The more I dwell on the meteor, the more I think it's true. I don't know. I have to break down and talk to this David guy. He looks honest, and not quite so crazy. Vi. October 3rd. Did you ever speak to someone and know that they weren't lying to you? I was able to finally sit down and talk to David. I expected him to play my mother's game of, "Don't worry about it," and "Tough, you don't believe." But he didn't. I asked him, "Do you have a few minutes to talk?" Of course, he gave me this look, kind of taken aback. You know that overreacting grown-up thing? He said,
Violet, I think this is the first time you've talked to me.
"I had my reasons for ignoring you. I thought you were here to marry my mother." He snickered.
You would think that would make you want to talk to me.
"With my mother's history?" He laughed. A good sign.
What do you want to talk about?
He asked. This so-called meteor. Now, for certain, because I used so-called, I thought David would be standoffish. Instead, he looked at me and said,
What do you want to know?
Everything.
That's pretty big. Want to break it down?
Okay, yes. I went on the net and couldn't find anything about this meteor. David shook his head.
As we said before, you won't. Not until the government deems it's time to tell.
Well, shouldn't they tell? I mean, now is a good time if it's coming soon. David exhaled.
Violet, trust me. We will experience total societal breakdown when the news of this comes out. The government needs this country running as long as possible.
That's a bit over the top, don't you think? I asked. I mean, you aren't giving people credit. If a meteor is coming, why would society break down?
You haven't been to school in 2 days. Why?
I shrugged.
I'll tell you why. The meteor's on your mind, right?
I nodded.
And you aren't 100% convinced it is going to occur. So imagine how many kids won't go to school, how many people won't go to work when they find out one is coming for sure.
How will they affect society?
No one will work. No one will run things. No one running the power plants, water companies, police, hospitals. Society will break down. That's why I think it will be close to the event when they'll tell.
When will that be? I asked.
Soon. It'll have to be. Right now, the meteor is shadowed by the sun, so it is very hard to spot. In another 10 days, it will be clear, and any kid with a telescope will see it coming.
So, it's for real? He nodded.
I'm afraid so.
I wanted him to tell me the facts, but instead, I told him about the cool calculator website, and he joined me in looking at it. David put the facts and stats into the calculator and showed me the results. The meteor, according to David, is about 6 miles, bigger than the one that took out the dinosaurs. They expect it to break up some coming in. He said something like 25% at least, because it's made up of some sort of rock. It will hit near Alaska. Will we feel it? David said an earthquake close to 14 points will rock us. We probably will even feel the fireball and heat, and so we have to be underground. He also talked about the blast waves of air that will knock everything out. not to mention the noise. The boom will be loud. Then we all die, right? I mean, come on, this one is bigger than the one that killed the dinosaurs. His response was simple.
The dinosaurs didn't know it was coming. The dinosaurs hadn't a clue the sun would be blocked out. They couldn't make preparations. We can.
Will they work? I asked. He wasn't solid in his answer, but he was honest.
We hope.
Hope? He didn't get much into their plan. I'm sure they will tell me now that I believe it. And I do believe. A meteor is coming. A big one, too. My mother and others have a survival plan that they hope will work. I hope so, too. I'm only 15. Vai. October 4th. Kentucky. I've never been to Kentucky, but it seems that's where I'll be spending a good part of my young life. 200 feet below the ground, in a former government bomb shelter in Kentucky. I asked my mom when we'd be moving there, and she said shortly before the meteor would hit. That is, if the world doesn't go too far down the drain that we can't get around. David thinks it's possible there may be martial law and a curfew, and we may not be able to leave until after the meteor arrives. I asked how much of a problem that would be.
It'll get cold in a few days. Then, it will get very cold,
David answered. Cold? Then very cold? The sun will be blocked out. When that happens, everything not sheltered will die. Die. David would be moving into the shelter with 15 other people who will get it operational. They're moving in 2 weeks before the meteor. 4 of them are agriculture experts. Seems a segment of the shelter is designated for food growth. Because there is the fear we may run into problems getting there ahead of time, and may actually get there after the fact, Bruce will be moving in with us. He'll be there in case of problems. Bruce is an idiot. Not that he's not nice and all, but he just is dumb. Anyhow, I really like David, and we have been having lots of talks. I tried to talk to my mother, but she won't give me any information. She's still pissed about me going to my father. Seems as though there will be 75 of us in that shelter. Although David said we only have 51 signed up. You just never know who will show up or which family will emerge at the last minute. So all of us will be living in this shelter that they are hoping survives the hit, and hoping will protect us from the elements. David said we'll only need protection for a few months. He said there is lots of room, and even a boy my age will be there. Great. Swell. The world is ending, and he's fixing me up? Probably looking ahead for repopulating the planet, since Mom and him are too old to do it. How gross is that? I might miss David when he leaves tomorrow. I didn't go to school again today. I don't want to go back. I told my mom it's because it's stupid to go to school anymore. But the truth is, I don't want to go. I don't want to see my friends or speak to them. It'll make me sad. I feel guilty for being part of a survival plan when they don't even have a clue that they could die. Vai. October 5th. I went back to school today. My homeroom teacher said to me,
Violet, you've missed a lot of school. Are you okay?
I told him, fine, I was just worried about the meteor that's hitting Earth.
Aren't we all? Take your seat.
He obviously didn't know. I spent the day thinking and watching. Watching friends, wondering would they live, would they die? Would their parents come up with a way to help them? I have to admit, the vision of Becky Newman running for her life was amusing. My luck, she would not only live, but she'd be in the shelter with us. If that's the case, she can repopulate the planet. She's already practiced. They said on the news that tomorrow night the president is going to make a special announcement. My mother thinks it will be about the meteor. We have to wait and see. Vai. October 5th. David was gone when I got home from school today. I kind of miss seeing him around. He left me a note and a homework assignment. His note said, "Violet, this is very important, and I think you should take care of it." He gave me a tin box, about the size of a shoebox. He told me that when he was younger, things called time capsules were really big. It's when they would put a bunch of stuff in a box from their era and bury it for the future to find. I suppose back then they had nothing better to do than to bury stuff in the yard. It made sense, though. A little bit of now for the future generations to come. What if when the meteor hit the dinosaurs, that the world and technology was exactly like it is today? How cool would that have been to find a box buried by some kid? But would we understand the context? I started thinking, what if 10,000 years from now, no one speaks English? How would they read anything I wrote? It hit me. How do we read things written from 10,000 years ago? Hieroglyphics. I started planning my list right away of what I want to put in the box. I will search out pictures that really tell of now times. I'm gonna make diagrams to show what happened to the world. But I think I will throw an old Barbie in the box, because I always liked that scene in the old Planet of the Apes movie where they find the doll. That way, if the world is nothing but apes, they can see we were all human at one time. Bye-bye. October 6th. Last night, things went crazy. It was just like a movie, only this time, it was real. The president came on the television and told about the meteor. My mother barely watched the broadcast because she said she didn't need to know the details. She already did. He just told about all the same stuff David told me. He encouraged people to start working on underground shelters and means for long-term survival. My mom laughed at that. Her plan had been put into effect. But then he said something we didn't expect. David said there might be a plan of action the government would take. Like my mother, I disagreed and said it was too much like the movies. But President Arnold quoted the movie and even said they derived the plan from there. In his own words, he said although they are certain that the meteor will not cause long-term damage and possible extinction, they cannot be certain. They are making preparations to house people to ensure the future. They placed 4 websites on the news and about a dozen phone numbers. They will run them continuously for 7 days until every American has had a chance to register the members of their household. You go to the website or call. My mother couldn't get on the website, and we couldn't get through to the phone number. It was busy. In 8 days, they'll pull by lottery 150,000 men, women, and children to be chosen to live and populate a shelter in New Mexico. They'll leave immediately. I don't know how that will work. I guess the government has it all mapped out. David was right. In order for them to have things ready to move in a little over a week, they've known a while about the meteor. The idea is good, but the problem is, if they pick you, you are the only one who can go. Not your children or parents, friends, just you. For 2 years. With people you don't know, without your family. If they pick you, you can choose not to go and pass. How horrible. How horrible of a decision. I would not want to make it. I hope my mother doesn't register us. We have our own plan. We don't need the government. But that is the least of my worries. Right now, I can't stop thinking about you, Nana. Bye-bye. October 7th. I calmed down some. Not much. All there is on the news is about the meteor. It's funny because everyone thrives on hearing the bad, yet everyone tries their hardest to debunk it. There were experts saying the meteor was going to miss us, that everyone was wrong, that there was no meteor coming. David said October 22nd. But on the 14th, it will be visible from behind the sun. To me, I think everything is going to be on hold until then. But once people find out, it will get crazy. My mother had boxes of stuff. A truck is coming later on. Some guy is going to drive everything we have to Kentucky. I asked my mother about that, and she said she plans on making more trips, nonstop for the next 2 weeks. With everything they have down there, or are gonna have in Kentucky, we should be good for a while. I don't want to think about this anymore. I think I'll go to school. Vi. Okay, I'm back. It's Saturday. See how messed up I am? I should not have this much to worry about. October 9th. I'm back from my father's. I can tell a part of him doesn't want to think about it or believe it's real, but he is making preparations. He said,
"Violet, I want to take you to West Virginia and wait it out."
I asked him why West Virginia, and he said there are lots of trees and we'd be protected. I asked him, what about the Ice Age? He didn't get it. What goes up comes down. But in the meantime, all that dirt and debris will just block out the sun. My father isn't the most intelligent. He's more of a mechanical thug. But I love him, and at one time, my mother loved him. He doesn't have anyone but me and Paul. I don't understand why my mother hasn't invited him. I'll talk to her. I feel bad for him. I feel really bad for him. Vi. October 10th. My mom's reaction wasn't what I thought. I thought maybe she'd look at me, stare a second in thought, and say, okay, yes, I'll invite him. But she didn't. She said,
"Really? Really, Violet? As if the apocalypse isn't going to be stressful enough, do you really think I want your father around?"
He's a mechanic, Mom. He knows how things run, and he could do some good.
No.
I argued his qualities were good, but she kept saying no. Then I got mad. I looked at her for the longest time. Despite how many boyfriends, despite how many husbands and mistakes, for the first time, I really was disappointed in my mother. Here she was, her survival plan all laid out, decked out. She planned on saving all these people, yet she couldn't put her petty differences aside and save the man responsible for me being here? She was being selfish, thinking of herself. My mother wasn't thinking of us kids, how we would feel about losing our father. Or even worse, never knowing his fate. Vi. October 10th. It's weird, you know? The kids at school keep moving on, talking about homecoming, who would be the homecoming queen. And I thought to myself, homecoming is October 28th. Do they honestly think everything will continue on as planned? We saw how the world stopped for tragedies. I'm thinking a huge meteor striking Earth is going to stall things for a long time. I'll keep going to school as long as I can. It was nice to see something on television other than the news. I spoke to my brother Paul about our father. He's upset about it too. But he isn't going to dwell on it or fight with Mom about it. He is simply sneaking Dad down there when he goes down. How do you sneak someone down into a bomb shelter? Does he plan on putting our father in a box? With almost perfect timing, in the middle of my discussion with Paul, David called. He'd tried my mom's phone and she didn't answer, and he wanted to check in. He said things were going well down there, moving along on schedule. They sold 5 more spots. He told me more about the shelter, that it was originally designed by some man named Cowan, and he made a bunch of them, called them ARCs. The government bought them and eventually sold them. I told David about our dilemma about our father, and how Paul plans on sneaking him down there. It was nice to hear David agree with us.
"Violet, talk to your mom,"
he told me.
"Tell her what you told me. She's a reasonable woman."
Apparently, he doesn't really know my mom. And then he told me if she still insists on not taking him, then by all means sneak our father in. It was more important for us to have our father than our mother not to be frustrated. She'd deal. What if the reason my mother doesn't want my father is because she still loves him and is afraid they'll work things out? On second thought, scratch that.
I'm going to sit down with her and talk. What would you say to her, Nana? Bet you would tell her, Meg, grow the hell up and deal with it. She would listen to you. Bye-bye. October 11th. This morning, my mother gathered Paul and me before we went to school. She told us that she still has been unable to get through to the lottery and that she has decided not to register us. I don't mind that. Not at all. I was hoping she wouldn't. People are gonna go crazy and I don't want to be a part of it. Besides, let's say everything falls apart. I don't want to win, emerge from the ashes in 2 years, and not know where my family is. That's not winning. That's losing. If I live, I live with my family. If I die with them. I asked her if she changed her mind about my father. She said, "For God's sakes, Violet." God's sakes? Who says God's sakes anymore? And then I lost it. I did. I told her he was our father. She may not like him, she may not love him, but I did. It wasn't fair to us to leave him out. Did she think about how badly we'd be hurt? Long story short, she was taken aback. Maybe taken aback is the wrong term to use. She was enlightened. She changed her mind and called our father immediately. "Dave," she spoke on the phone, "I am sure Violet has told you about our survival spot. We'd like you to go. We can use your help." At first, he told her he would if he didn't win the lottery. Then I snatched the phone and blasted my father. "Do you really think you're gonna win that lottery? No! Besides, why would you want to even think about being away from your kids when all this is gonna happen to the world?" He said I was right. It's tough having to act like the adult when you're so young. The meteor is arriving in 11 days. In 3, they announce the lottery. Any day, my father will be on the first of 2 trucks heading down there. It was a small victory for me, and an even bigger one for my father. He just didn't know it. He came right over, following the phone call. My mother got annoyed because he had so many questions. Yeah, she was annoyed, but I think a part of her was glad he was going. Bye-bye. October 11th. Well, it's a good news, bad news sort of thing. I spoke to David. I wanted facts, because he said each day the meteor moves closer, he'd get more specifics. Good news is, the meteor will break up some when it enters the atmosphere, more than they anticipated because of its makeup. Bad news is, it is still gonna hit. Good news is, it will hit a less populated area. Bad news is, it will hit Alaska. Good news is there will not be a tsunami. Bad news is there will be a fireball. On a good note, we won't be near it. So, Purdue updated that calculator since the meteor is coming. How masochistic is that? Really, you type in your address, and since they have more facts than the average person does, they tell you what you'll feel. Apparently, and this is odd, we won't know right away. You'd think that when a meteor slams into Earth, the ripple effects would be felt immediately. Nope, we won't see the flash. Of course, the people up near Alaska won't see anything. After it hits, 21 minutes later, we'll have an earthquake. Walls will crack, doors jolted off hinges, a pretty big deal. That's when we have to be outside, because inside won't be safe. Then, we have about 10 minutes, maybe a couple more, and we have to get below. That's when this stuff called ejecta happens. It's all the fiery particles raining down. Some may set things on fire. Other particles may be too small. There's a moment, but a few hours later, how about this one? Then winds come. This cloud will blow by. It's estimated to be close to 90 miles an hour. It'll bring debris with it as well, so being as far away as we'll be will be helpful. Then, as David put it will get dark, and the temperatures will drop. 2 days, 3 tops, the snow will come, and it's an ice age.
On a brighter note, I started my hieroglyphics. I made a copy for you, Nana. More good news, bad news. Aren't I just the doomsday reporter? First of the 2 trucks leave for Kentucky on the 13th. Bad news, your daughter is waiting to go with the 2nd truck. Only 2 days before the meteor. Is she nuts? She said she'll try to leave earlier, but the 20th is the latest. Why does she have to be such a martyr? The final piece of news is yet to be determined. I want to speak to my mother first. Vi. October 11th. What about Nana? I asked.
Violet, please,
Was my mother's response. Yeah, that was her response. She seemed more occupied with sealing those meal bags than paying attention to what I was asking. Mom? She pointed about, counting. Mom.
I'm losing track.
And I'm losing patience. She spun around to me.
Don't even begin to tell me you're talking to me like that.
I'm sorry, but what about Nana? What are you going to do? I kind of did feel brave, because my father and Paul were in the kitchen helping. They didn't say anything, but they listened, I could tell. She huffed at me.
You have this obsession with your grandmother for some unknown reason.
My memories are good reason.
Then hold on to them.
So you're just gonna forget about her?
Violet.
Calmly, my mother faced me.
What choice do I have? Nana left us 2 years ago. You hold on to those memories.
So we're just gonna leave her there?
She doesn't know,
my mom said. It doesn't matter, I argued. She's your mother. Do you think I'd just leave you behind as well?
I would hope so. Violet, listen to me.
My mother grabbed my hand.
She wouldn't want to go anyhow.
Then you don't know your mother. My mother grew frustrated.
I know her enough to remember her telling me that if the end of the world ever comes, put her in front of a window and let her watch.
I laughed with sarcasm. And that's exactly what you're doing.
Violet,
she snapped at me.
You know the state she's in. She can't walk without guidance, get dressed, feed herself, talk, or even go to the bathroom without help.
The apocalypse is stressful enough. Yes, I heard that when you were talking about him. I pointed to my father. But this is your mother. I fought for Dad. Fight for her. I know she can't do all those things. So what? I'll feed her, dress her, bathe her. I'll walk with her, and I'll change her. Because that's what she did for me. And she did it for you, too. It's our turn now.
You can't save the world, Violet.
I'm not trying to save the world. Just those I love. My mother's head lowered. Mom, I stepped to her. I don't want to argue with you. I'm sorry for doing so. But you're working really hard, and you're focusing so hard on saving important things that you're forgetting the important things you should be saving. Her eyes lifted to me.
How did you get so grown up?
I'm not. She stepped to me and kissed me.
You're right. You are absolutely right. But how are we going to do this? The first truck is full, and there is really too much to do to be taking care of her before we leave.
My father spoke up.
Your mom can have my seat. I'll wait.
My mother waved out her hand.
No, Dave. You have to go on the first truck. God forbid something goes wrong, the kids will still have you.
Wow. Did she change her mind in one day or what? I thought about this, I said. I have a plan.
Vi,
my mother smiled.
You are more like me than you realize. Always planning ahead. I'm proud of you. You're my apocalypse buddy.
Exactly, I nodded. So, Nana takes my spot on the first truck. David said Mrs. Stanley is a nurse's aide, and she'll take care of Nana until I get there. Yeah, I spoke to David about this.
Why are you talking to David so much?
He's pretty cool now that I don't think you two are getting married.
You're getting married again?
My father asked. I replied, No, it was a misunderstanding. I got confused and thought she was.
It's easy to do with your mother.
I laughed. My mother shook her head with a smile. Violet, as great as that sounds, I want you there. I want you on the first truck. And I want to be with you. No one can stay behind and help you like me. I'll be a neurotic mess if you're up here alone.
What if I don't make it in time?
I shrugged. Then you'll show me how apocalyptic savvy you really are. She hugged me and kissed me.
Fine. You stay and help me. I'll call the facility tomorrow. I have extra things I need to get for Nana.
And I knew what they were. I made a list of special items for you, and I'm sending my dad to the store for them. But you're coming, Nana. You're coming with us. Now you'll see me every day, all the time, instead of when I visit, and from listening to your aide read my journals. I remember that day you left us, Nana. I remember it very clearly. I was with you, remember? I slept in your room because we were watching that movie. The next day, you were shaking. Mom said you needed a drink, and I said it was too early. I knew you. You were staring out the window, crying. You said you saw how the world ends. I asked if it was a dream, and you shook your head. You said you saw it. I never saw you like that. I never saw you cry so hard. I believed you. I believed what you saw was a gift from God. He allowed you to see what was going to happen. But you couldn't handle it. You were scared. You were so scared that you retreated into your own mind. And we couldn't pull you out. It was safer there. But you know what? You stare out that window every day because you're waiting for it. I believe with all my heart you are gonna snap out of this. You will. The moment it happens and it's done, you'll snap out. Because it's over. Your fears will be faced, and there will be nothing more to be afraid of. When that day happens, and it will, oh boy, are we gonna talk. I love you very much, Nana. Vi. October 12th. I'm writing this at school. It's really weird here. I don't know why we all keep coming, but we do. I think it's to keep some sort of normalcy in our lives. But it's not normal. Like the flip of a switch, everyone just got different. 2 days ago, no one believed it was going to happen. Now, even though we can't see it, it's been confirmed. In 2 days, not only will we find out the list of people going into the government shelter, but also we will see the meteor in the sky. It will emerge from beyond the sun. Not like anyone from the school is going to be picked. What are the odds? I know, I have said that before. But today is our last day. They announced that we should wish everyone luck. School will not be in session until, well, after. Mr. Bain had us talk about our feelings and what we were worried about. Then he had us write an essay in class. That's what everyone is working on now. The essay. I'm done because I write fast. 300 words is really nothing. 300 words about what our families are doing to prepare for the meteor and how we plan to make the world a better place after. We are also supposed to include whether or not we believe everything will return to normal. I know a lot of kids think it's going to be just like any other disaster, that we'll pause for a week, be blasted by the news, and soon as the news starts to fade, we'll return to normal. That's not going to happen. Because I know you'll want to read it, this is my essay. My name is Violet. I am 15 years old. The world is about to end. Some say it's not. Maybe in the scheme of things, the world as a planet will keep going, but the world we know will be gone. It doesn't matter if the meteor is overstated. Even if it doesn't cause half as much damage, which I doubt, the world won't be the same. People will all be crazy. There won't be enough food, doctors, and worse, there will no longer be social media or a way to get online. When people talk about posting something on their wall, It will literally be a wall. Because of this, my family has decided it is not a world they want to live in. I agree. We leave tomorrow for Alaska, so we can be there when the meteor hits. Watch it fall from the sky, hold hands, and sing "This Land Is Your Land." But I'm kidding. That isn't what we are doing. Did I make you worry? My mother has always had an obsession with the world ending, so she has been preparing for a long time. In fact, my mother has known for a while that this was going to happen. She has known through friends that watch the sky. They may not have had jobs, but being stargazers came in handy. For nearly a year, they've been prepping the shelter where we will live. We leave soon. Am I scared? No. I wish things were different. They aren't. I hated school, and now I wish it wouldn't end. I will miss my friends. But I have my family. That's what is important. Nothing will ever return to normal. I plan on being a doctor, running my own country, and being the best dictator that I can be. There, 300 exactly. I didn't mention Kentucky, because I don't want him and his wife showing up and knocking on the shelter door. Hey, you don't suppose he was asking us to tell him our plans because he's not ready and wants to steal or raid someone's home, do you? The news said supplies are dwindling. God, I hope not. But even if he is doing it to find out what we have, we'll be long gone before the meteor arrives, so he'll come to an empty house. Vi. October 12th. You're here. You're here. You're here. You're here. I got home from school today and I thought I was losing my mind. I swore I saw you looking out the window. And you were. Nana, my heart was beating so fast when I saw you. I know I just saw you last week, but I was so happy to see you out of the institution. After I hugged you, I hugged my mom. I thanked her. She said, "Violet, thank you. You were right. This feels so right. Doesn't she look good?" She put a little makeup on you, Nana, and that old sweatshirt you always wore. I saw you brought all the pictures and notebooks I left for you. I have a plan. When I get down there with you, I will read you all the notebooks and explain all the drawings. That way you can hear my voice read the words. I'm praying, Nana. I am praying that I am right, that you'll snap right out of this. Mom said even she thinks I may have a point. She swore she saw you smile a little. Did you? Can you imagine how much we'll talk? You can tell me about all the people in that place that really were crazy. Oh, I am so excited and happy to have you. I know you leave in the morning with Paul and Dad, but I plan on cuddling right next to you and watching television all night, like we used to. We won't watch the news, though. I love you. Vi. October 13th. It was a good thing we talked all night last night, or rather you listened to me ramble. My dad said you'll probably sleep the next 5 hours to Kentucky. 5 hours. It doesn't seem like much. Right now, I don't think it's much. Not many people are leaving to go south or east. They are avoiding the coasts, in case the meteor earthquakes cause tsunamis. They are more or less staying put, at least here on the east side and the Midwest. But will it be like that in a few days? In a few days, will Mom and I make it in 5 hours? Or will it seem like 1,000 miles? No one knows. After you left, I was sort of sad, just saying goodbye to you, Paul, and my dad. I had a slight fear that, what if I don't make it? What if something happens and it was the last time I told any of you that I loved you? So I opted for cartoons, but the news station was on. Shut it off, Violet. We have jerky to finish. Where is it all? I replied to her. Seriously, we did 500 2 days ago. It's packed. Now shut off the news. She was right. I reached to shut off the news and help her in the kitchen when I saw the lines and lines of people at the store. They fought. They argued. Police were there. The news people said the food supply was vanishing. Another story talked about how all those out west were migrating to the east. Traffic was at a standstill. I'm just glad we're over here. It'll be over soon. Let's just hope not completely over. I'll go help my mom until Dad calls and says you all arrived safe. Vi. Okay, just a side note. Paul called. You guys got there safe. I'm going to bed. My mother had me cutting meat and my fingers hurt. October 14th. It was the oddest thing today. Slapped with reality. I saw it. The second I woke up, I saw the meteor. It was to the right of the sun, and it looked like a huge star in the sky. A daylight star. I'm not the only one who got hit with that reality. Billions did. It wasn't real. No matter how much they talked about it, showed black and white NASA pictures, it just wasn't real until you looked up and saw it in the sky. I got a sinking feeling. My stomach just flopped. The demise of mankind, or at least civilization as we know it. Even prepared, this meteor is going to change so much. Nothing will ever be the same. Mackenzie is packing, not to go to a shelter, but because she believes she will be on that list. Really? Hundreds of millions of people, and she thinks she's gonna be in the 1%. I don't have the heart to tell her it's not probable. But you never know. I'm not on the list because I'm not registered to be on the list. I asked my mom if it was okay if I went over to Mackenzie's to watch them announce. I think I should be there. She is my best friend. I'll let you know. Vi. October 14th. The Savior Shelter holds over 100,000 people. More than 25% had been pre-selected to go, so this percentage of people were all assigned 4 people to call. Along with those phone calls, the list ran on the television. We couldn't access the webpage at all. I was with Mackenzie when it started. She stared at the phone the entire time, waiting. Hours went by, and it never rang. She didn't get selected, as I knew she wouldn't. Neither did her father. Mackenzie wouldn't believe it, though. Anne called to say she checked the list. It was in alphabetical order. Mackenzie started crying. One person from our area made it on the list. Ready? Becky Newman. Can you believe that Becky Newman is going to survive the apocalypse? I bet she is dancing and gloating right now. Makes me so mad. Poor Mackenzie keeps crying. Her father is like, "We'll figure something out." Cities all around are now designing community shelters for when the temperature drops. But there is a price to pay. Our city is doing a shelter and is asking people to contribute supplies if they want to get in. But registration for that is limited, and you have to register with so many gallons of water, canned goods, medical supplies. Pretty much, it works out to a week's worth of food to add to the city's stockpiles. Mackenzie's father mentioned that, but then said food was hard to get, especially enough to stockpile. What's wrong with me, Nana? When Mackenzie and her dad asked what I was doing, I repeated her father's sentiment. My mom is figuring out something. They both seemed surprised by that, since they knew how much of a basket case my mother was about being prepared for things. But I lied. I said it was a fascination and hobby, and she never really followed through on having enough. I lied. Why would I lie to my best friend? Why wouldn't I tell her that we have a shelter already in Kentucky? What's wrong with me? I just got struck by fear because I didn't want anyone to know at that moment what all we had. Even Mackenzie. It was all well and fine before reality struck, but now, I don't know. It's survival of the fittest, and my mother has made sure we are in the fittest category. We prepared. Whether we make it or not still remains to be seen. But we're ready. And I lied. I feel guilty. I feel really bad.
Vi. October 15th. I had a bad dream last night. A nightmare. I dreamt that I didn't make it to the shelter and saw the meteor coming. I watched it sail across the sky and smash into Earth. Then I woke up. Not because the dream ended. I woke up to gunshots. The man down the street was chasing someone who was trying to steal from him. Has it come to that? My mother said she wasn't worried, but I could see the look on her face. I told her I was scared about us driving alone, and she said we weren't. That Tom from Cleveland was going to come meet us and would be at our house any day. Where is she finding these people? Tom from Cleveland? Apparently he's a teacher or something David and my mom have been talking to. I spoke to Mackenzie on the phone. She sounded a lot better. She said she and her father were going to register for the city shelter. That made me feel better. Until I watched the news. They are only letting 8,000 people in. They showed them bringing heavy equipment and stuff into Johnston Medical Center. The shelter will be in the sub-basements. The equipment is in case there is a collapse. They erected a fence around the complex, and already mobs have shown up. Registration hasn't even opened yet. It won't open for 3 days, and people are camping out there. I don't get it. What is safer at the center than your own home? Can't these people make a shelter in their own home? Has to be the heating thing. I guess people are scared of freezing to death. I thought for sure they'd try to keep the power going. They may. Then this whole run to the city for help thing will be in vain, and all those people will feel dumb for not preparing to stay home. David thinks the lights will go out purely because no one will man the stations. That means no heat. We have kerosene heaters, but how long would they last? I suppose if my mother was planning for us to wait it out, we'd have more kerosene. I thought she bought more, but there are only 3 cans in the living room. So much is changing every day. I hate watching the news, but I can't stop. Gas stations have lines backed up for blocks. They say gasoline will run out shortly. Grocery stores have police officers and people are fighting and panicking. I'm worried, and I'm scared. A part of me just wants this meteor to come and get this madness over with. I'm glad you're safe and away from it all. Vi. October 16th. 17 people were killed this afternoon at the city shelter. Well, outside. They were fighting and trying to steal from each other. Why are people like this? You would think this is not the time to turn our backs and become animals, but rather work together. This is stupid. I am embarrassed that people behave like this. My mother said, "Violet, no worries. We won't need to go to the store again before we leave this house." We've been packaging like crazy, sealing bag after bag of food. I never realized we had so much stuff. I thought she sent most of it with David. We packaged and sealed, dehydrated and prepped. When I go to bed, my mom puts it away for the trip. My mother has also taken to carrying a gun on her, even in the house. She has the other in my room, just in case. We leave in 3 days. 3 days, that's what my mother said. This Tom guy is supposed to be here in 2 days, and then we leave the next morning. Why can't he be here now? What's taking him so long? Why can't he just get here? My mom said it's because he is working with the Cleveland mayor on a survival shelter. This confuses me. If he's helping them, why not stay there? Probably because ours is better, and, as my mom said, he helped invest. So check this out, Nana. Martial law goes officially into effect at 6 p.m. Sundown to sunup, no one on the streets. But that's not the worst part. They enacted a national anti-hoarding law. Hoarding is now illegal. And they said if they find out you are hoarding, you can be detained and your stuff taken. I freaked. My mom said we aren't hoarding, we're prepping and have been for a while. Big difference.
I don't see the big difference. Again, with her, "Don't worry, Violet." I can't help it. I do. Detain people? Until when? For what purpose? The meteor is coming. We'll probably not have lights for a while, so we're gonna lock the people up and leave them there to die when the meteor comes. I tried to call Mackenzie. She didn't answer for the longest time. Then her dad did. He was upset and crying. So was Mackenzie. They were turned away at the city shelter. So many people were already there. They were stopping people from waiting. She wouldn't stop crying. She keeps thinking because this is coming that she is gonna die. I told her it doesn't mean death. She just has to try to live. Start making preparations to lock down, stay in the house. And then she made a suggestion. "Maybe my dad and your mom can work together," she said. "Share resources." "Maybe," I said, but I didn't mean it. There is no sharing when it comes to my mom. This was Mackenzie, though. I don't know if I'll sleep tonight. I think I need to go talk to Mom. Vi. October 17th. I stared out the window for a long time last night, watching it. I don't even know what the name is. Usually they name a meteor after whoever discovered it. I thought about calling David and asking him. But I thought it was a dumb question and something I should have known. Where we live, it is hard to see what all is going on out there. I wish I could. The news, as my mom put it, is guarded. Becky Newman leaves today for Savior Shelter. I'm envious. Not because I want to go to the Savior Shelter, but because she gets to leave the madness, sheltered in a utopia of sorts. She may already be gone. I don't know. I keep looking out the window. I wonder how her mother feels about her leaving. She has to be sad. Becky has to be sad. She's leaving her family. Mackenzie is so upset. I talked to her on the phone. I asked her to come over, and she said her father wanted her to stay put. He had a plan. But then Mackenzie said her father kept on crying. Why is he crying if he has a plan? She wanted me to sleep over. I feel bad because I can't. I don't want to leave my mother alone, just like she doesn't want to leave her dad alone. I don't know. I'm going to go talk to my mom. I can't, with a clear conscience, leave unless I try. Vi. October 18th. Nana, my mother must be changing. Maybe it's that guy Tom. He arrived just before noon, and I was telling Mom how I was worried about Mackenzie and her dad. They hadn't answered the phone all morning. I told her how sad they were and how they have very little. Do you know what my mother said? She said,
"Violet, ask her father to come over here and I'll explain everything. I'll tell them where to go."
It felt so good to hear her say that. She's letting them come to Kentucky. Mackenzie will live. Tom seems like a nice guy. A little odd. Looks very scholarly. He is a professor at a university. Maybe he's the reason my mother agreed. Who knows? They're putting the last of the stuff in the truck, then taking it to this special storage place. My mother thought that was best. Hide the truck near the roads we'll take and bring Tom's car to the garage. We leave tomorrow for Kentucky. It can't be soon enough. I miss you so much, and I even miss Paul. You guys have only been gone a couple days, but it seems like forever. Mackenzie isn't answering. I'm going to run over to her house to tell her the good news. Vi. October 18th. This didn't happen. It didn't. It's all my fault. Vi. October 18th. I don't know where to begin. My mother says it's not my fault. But it is. I can't help it. If only I said something sooner. If only I asked my mom yesterday. If only I wasn't so afraid of someone taking what we had. Maybe if I stayed over at Mackenzie's house, it wouldn't have happened. I can't stop crying. I'll never be able to close my eyes again without seeing it. Mackenzie is dead. I couldn't get an answer on the phone, so I ran to their house. They're only right down the street. I knocked, and there wasn't an answer. I even stood on the front lawn, calling out her name. At first, I thought they left town. Maybe went somewhere where they had other family. But the car was in the driveway. I thought maybe someone picked them up. I went back to the front door and tried to open it. It wasn't locked. Then I knew they were home. I opened it only a little and poked my head in. Just as I was about to call out, I smelled this horrible smell, Nana. It was horrible. It made me gag. I pushed the door open wider, and that was when I saw. Mackenzie's front door opens right into her living room, and I could see the dining room table. The chair was toppled, and all I saw were her father's legs, and blood splashed on the wall. That's all I saw, and I screamed. My stomach hurt from that, and I ran. I was so scared I didn't even go up to find Mackenzie. Was I wrong? I was. I was too afraid. All the way home I screamed for my mother, and she raced outside with Tom. I didn't want to let go of her. I told her what I saw, and she held on to me. Tom said, "Wait here," and he went to Mackenzie's house. They called the police, but they never came. They never showed up. No one cared. My friend is dead. I care. I'll never forgive myself. Vi. October 18th. Never have I seen my mother like this. She is really upset. She can barely concentrate or move, and she didn't even go to Mackenzie's house. Tom did. He said Mackenzie's father killed Mackenzie while she slept in bed, shot her, and then killed himself. Why? Why would he do that? Tom said it was out of misguided love. Love shouldn't even be in that statement. How do you kill someone you love? He was supposed to save her and protect her, not kill her. Tom covered their bodies and shut the door. That was all he could do. He gave me some advice.
"Violet," he said, "I know you saw some horrible things today. Things you will never forget, and I don't expect you to. But you have to stay strong. These will probably be the first of many horrible things you see in your life from here on. The world is going to change, and you are going to have to grasp, learn, and move."
Then he told me that I was a survivor, and seeing Mackenzie's father was the first of many tests fate would throw my way. I survived because I didn't stay there. He believes if I stayed at her house last night, I would have been killed too. Survivor. I wish my friend was a survivor, but she's gone. She was only 15. 15 is too young to die, but so many young people will die from this meteor. It's not fair. It's so not fair. Vi. October 19th. I can't sleep. We leave in just about 6 hours, and I can't fall asleep. I don't think my mother can either. I could hear her and Tom downstairs moving about. She told me to try to rest. It will be a long trip. We could be stopped. My phone is on the charger. Everything else is packed. Except this journal. I'm not packing it. I may want to make notes to you on the trip. I know. It's only 5 hours. I'm so tired. My head hurts from crying, and my eyes are swollen. The plan is, as soon as the roads open for travel, we take the car to the storage and grab the truck and go. Mom assured me the supplies were concealed enough to not look like we hoarded them. She said they were in suitcases and an old sofa. That's why we packed and sealed everything in baggies, like drug smugglers, only we're smuggling survival. I think I'm gonna try to sleep. My music is loaded. I'll wear my headphones and try to block out everything and sleep. Good night, Nana. See you soon. Vi. October 19th. What happened? I don't know what to do. I don't. I'm so scared. I woke up and it was really late. I ran downstairs thinking my mom slept in and she was gone. Her and Tom aren't here. My mother is gone. Vi. October 19th. Something has happened to my mother. Something has happened everywhere. At first, I thought they forgot about me and left for Kentucky. I took my bike and rode all the way down to the special storage garage. I couldn't even tell you if anyone was around. I just pedaled really fast and focused until I got there. The door was open and the truck was gone. I cried. I cried right here, but there was no sign of Tom's car. I rode back home, and I had left so fast I didn't realize Tom's car was still in the garage. Nana, everything is gone. Every cupboard is bare. My phone won't work. I can't even get a signal. The landline is dead. I ran to Anne's house, and they weren't there either. Our whole street looks like a war zone. I rode back down to the soldier checkpoint and told them I couldn't find my mother. They said they couldn't help me. There's no way I can call for help. The meteor comes in 3 days. Where is my mother? Vi. October 19th. They took her. I was walking up and down the street, looking for someone, some clue. I didn't know where to turn next, and I heard Mrs. Crimson call my name. Violet? She was standing on her porch. She looked surprised. She and her husband are like 80. I was about to ask her if she saw my mother when she asked if I was all right. Was my mother back? I tried not to cry, but I did. I don't know where she is, I told her. Then she said, "Oh, Violet, they took her. We thought they took you, too. I was shocked to see you." Who took her? I asked. "A military truck pulled up. They went into your house, took your mom and that man. They brought stuff out." They took my mom. They probably found the truck of stuff. Or Mom bartered it for her release and it didn't work. Mrs. Crimson said Mom wasn't the only one on the street. Anne and her family were taken too. A lot of people were taken. I was sleeping. With the headphones, I didn't hear anything. Why would they leave me behind and not Anne? Mrs. Crimson thinks it's because Anne was fighting with the soldiers in the street when they dragged out her parents. I would have fought too. But I was sleeping. She told me I was welcome to stay with her and Mr. Crimson. That made me cry even more. I know they didn't have as much as we did, and she was offering to help me. I told her I'd think about it and went home. I have to be brave. I have to. They didn't take everything. They didn't take my backpack with supplies in it, and they didn't get the gun my mom hid in my room. But it's quiet. Too quiet. I'm scared, and I'm afraid for my mom. I think I'll head over to the Crimson house. Does that make me less brave? I keep hearing Tom's words. You're a survivor, Violet. I'm a survivor. But for tonight, I'm so scared and sad. I just need to be a teenage girl. Vi. October 20th. Mrs. Crimson made me a bed on the couch and fed me soup and biscuits. She knew I didn't eat all day, and the food and tea were so good. I gobbled it. I offered to eat my rations in my bag, and she said, "Nonsense, Violet. We have plenty." How do you have plenty when the end of the world is coming? They had a lot, and it wasn't as if they were stockpiling or hoarding. It was all stuff they had in their basement. 2 whole walls were nothing but jars of stuff. She and her daughter canned things. I asked her about her daughter, and she told me she had gone to Texas a week before. Mrs. Crimson's son lives there. Why didn't you go? I asked. Violet, we're old. This is our home. We aren't going anywhere. Not yet. We're safe, sort of, from the meteor.
We believe we have enough supplies.
Aren't you scared of looters?
A little, but what can we do? There will be a time, she said, not long after the meteor, that people get desperate. Maybe a week. Then we'll worry. Just about when it gets cold, people will get scared.
How will you stay warm?
She smiled at me. We have a fireplace. I'm sure the pioneers and settlers of this country were just fine with a fireplace.
What if people see the smoke and come here?
Then we let them in, she said.
Aren't you afraid they'll come in and hurt you?
Again, she smiled. That grandmotherly, reassuring smile. I'm 80, Violet. What are we going to do?
I wish I could be like her. So confident and not afraid.
I didn't sleep much or late. Mrs. Crimson gave me a biscuit for breakfast. That was enough. My stomach was flipping anyhow. I have a full day ahead of me. I'm not stopping. Not at all. Not until I find my mother. Vi. October 20th. It wasn't as I hoped. It wasn't nearly as productive as I wanted it to be. I was walking around for nearly 2 hours when Mr. Crimson found me and picked me up. I thought and was hopeful that he was seeking me out because he knew something about my mother, but that wasn't the case. He had been looking for me for as long as I was out. He wanted to help. I was glad. It was scary out there. Some streets were empty. Doors wide open. Things scattered about, as if people just took off and left. Where were they going? I would have been fearful for my life, had people even cared that I was there. There was such a sense of selfishness. Grab and go. They were hitting Bill's appliance store. Who is going to need that television in the apocalypse? Maybe they don't think it's going to happen. How can they not? Just look up at the sky. It's there. Bigger today. When Mr. Crimson found me, I was frozen still outside of the Eagle grocery store, at the end of the parking lot, just watching people. They didn't have bags. They rolled carts of stuff. Was there even that much left in the store? I didn't think it would be like that. I saw movies. A part of me thought people would be reasonable. The store windows were busted, as if the doors were holding them back. I heard shouting and a gunshot, but I'm not sure. Gunshots in real life never sound like they do on television. I couldn't move. I just couldn't stop watching.
Violet, there you are. Get in.
Mr. Crimson called my name as he opened the door.
Hurry.
Taking one more look at the craziness, I did. It's insane out here.
Yes, and you're too young to be out here alone. It's dangerous.
Is that why you came?
That, and to help you find your mom.
How? I don't even know where to start looking. Mr. Crimson's answer was easy.
Well, if the military took her, then the military knows where she is.
It sounded good. Unfortunately, it wasn't. We finally found a checkpoint where the soldiers gave us information, not specifically about my mother.
She could be in one of many places. She isn't in a prison, though,
he said.
How many places can there be?
Mr. Crimson asked.
This county, 12. Next county, nearly 20.
Mr. Crimson gasped.
All for hoarding. I wish, sir. Most are for bigger crimes. So her mother, who was only stockpiling food, is lumped in with other criminals. Why aren't they in a regular jail? Honestly, we aren't holding anyone for very long.
The soldier told us about half of the holding places. They were the only ones he knew of. We went to each one. There was really no processing system. It was bothersome for anyone to check the roster of names. They weren't holding anyone for very long? But how long was the question on my mind. I was really down as we drove and kept playing with my phone. Mr. Crimson yelled at me about it, said there weren't any phones and to just stop. That was when the radio finally made a sound. A long series of beeps,
and then an electronic voice introducing the emergency broadcasting system. The man said, in his computer style of talking, that at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, October 22nd, all radios and broadcasting will switch to the EBS. The day of the meteor. The meteor was due to impact just after 10 in the morning. Just before dusk, we arrived at the final holding center. The woman there was nice. "I'm sorry, honey, she isn't here. And you folks better head home. Curfew starts shortly." I exhaled and felt Mr. Crimson's hand on my shoulder.
Why are there so many holding centers?
There are a lot of people being held. Looting, hoarding, curfew laws, and worse. When was she taken? Yesterday, I replied. Then more than likely, she's in the next county. Most of these people have been here a good part of a week. Try the Walmart on Crawford and the Big Bear. They're the newer centers, and chances are she's there.
You've been very helpful.
Mr. Crimson shook her hand.
We'll check there first thing.
He put his arm round me and turned me from the table. That was when the woman called out, "Sir?" We stopped. "I don't know if this is helpful, but I am told there will be no more coverage or security at the centers on the morning of Impact Day."
"So they're opening the doors?"
he asked. "I don't know. I can only assume. But if there is no security there, it'll be easier to get her. Once, you find her." Mr. Crimson thanked her again and whispered that we would find her, that tomorrow was another day. But really, it was the last day. Because the meteor was coming. I wished the phones worked. I would call my father or David, someone to help. At least I have Mr. Crimson. He is so nice and strong. I am sorry I didn't get to know him better before all this happened. We left and drove home. He kept grabbing my hand and squeezing it. I could tell he was a father. Mrs. Crimson had food waiting on us. I ate to be polite, but the truth was, I was depressed. Like the air had all been sucked out of me, I was deflated. I miss my mom. I am worried. What if she's not there? What if something happened to her? What if I never see her again? I have to stop. I have to keep thinking of what Mr. Crimson said. We'll find her. Tomorrow, last or not, really is another day. Bye-bye. October 21st.
Did your mother ever tell you why she named you Violet?
Mr. Crimson asked me, I suppose to make small talk in the car on the way to the next county. Why?
It's an old-fashioned name. I like old-fashioned names. These new names aren't going to fit when the person gets old like me. Can you see it? Old Lady Shalala.
He makes me laugh. He's funny. I like him. I want him to come to Kentucky, him and Mrs. Crimson. But I don't even know how we're getting there. I don't even know what is going to happen after the meteor hits. Yeah, David gave me information, but what if it's wrong? I talked to Mr. Crimson about it just before he asked about my name. He told me the destination in Kentucky isn't far under normal circumstances, and more than likely, my mom could muster up enough gas to make it there in a compact car, under normal circumstances. But we didn't know what circumstances we'd face. Traveling, like David said, could be okay for a few days. That would be if there wasn't panicking or rushing of traffic to go south. We spoke a little bit about it. Then he changed the subject to my name. I told him my mother had an infatuation with the book Willy Wonka, and that was why she named me Violet. He liked that. He said he hoped when things got back on track, folks would start naming kids normal names again, like John, Bill, Mike, and Alice. He made so much small talk as we left our town. Maybe it was to stop me from looking out the window and seeing anything. Why wouldn't people stop taking things? And why were they permitted to steal from stores while my mother was detained? Why are people being like this? I asked him. You would think they'd be trying to prepare to stay alive.
Well, I think they're just scared. People act strange when they're scared.
I looked out the window and then back to him. I didn't want him to know, but I had to tell him. I have a gun. I swore he slowed down the car.
Why do you have a gun?
He asked. My mother had it hidden in my room in case of looters. I have it.
Where is it?
I patted my book bag that sat on the floor of the car. He nodded. Do you have one? I asked.
I have access to one now, don't I?
He winked.
You just keep that in there. Maybe let me hold on to it.
I'm afraid of it.
You should be. But
he paused.
We never know now, do we?
I shook my head. There wasn't a lot of traffic. Then again, we were headed west. No one was headed west. The Beltway looped around our city, and I saw the Johnston Center. It wasn't up close, but there were so many people surrounding it. It was like a huge rock concert. There was no way they were all getting in. Why weren't they home?
Violet, did you know, even with all this modern stuff, I grew up pretty darn poor. Lived with my mother and 2 brothers in this small shack in West Virginia. No electricity, no heat.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Gets pretty cold in West Virginia in the winter. So, no worries.
He reached over and squeezed my hand.
We'll seal up the windows, get everyone in the family room, and we'll be warm. Burn what we can. We'll make it through the cold front.
I thanked him for that. I liked driving the freeway. There wasn't much to see. Things for a moment were normal, until we pulled into the Big Bear, just off the first exit. Like every other store made into a holding center, there were trucks blocking the front door. Some people were camping out in the parking lot. Not a lot of people. I guess the military kept them away. That made me wonder. All the military everywhere. I know they, signed up to serve their country and all, but what about their families? Didn't they want to be with their families right now? The guy at the door told us they have 72 people there, but my mother wasn't on the list. I asked if I could go and look, and he assured me she wasn't there. He, like the woman yesterday, suggested Walmart. There is just something to be said about society when they are putting hoarders and looters in Walmart and every other discount store. I didn't hear a single Macy's mentioned as a holding place. Why was that? The freeway didn't go directly to Walmart on Crawford Boulevard. He suggested we head through town. It was shorter. Plus, some parts of the interstate were impassable because of accidents. Then, he too suggested that we just go home. That everyone was probably going to be set free the next day anyhow. We needed to find her. We needed to know where she was so we could be there to get her. My mother was already so far away from our house, there was no way she would make it home when the effects of the meteor arrived 3 hours after impact. The earthquake, the winds, the fiery particles that would come down. She couldn't be out there. We had to find her. The second we hit town, we knew we should have taken a chance on the freeway. The small city of Lawson was no longer like a small city in the United States. In fact, it looked more like some town in a war zone in a foreign country. We pulled down a residential main street that Mr. Crimson said would take us to Crawford Boulevard. There were rows of houses and a car burned in the middle of a street. A group of people stood outside of a house, shouting and cheering, and before we knew it, a TV sailed out a window.
Eyes ahead,
Mr. Crimson said.
They won't bother us if they don't think we have anything they want.
But do we?
I don't know. But on the safe side, pull out that gun.
I unzipped my book bag and carefully pulled out the gun. It's loaded and the safety is on. I set it on the console between the seats. Mr. Crimson nodded. We passed a little store. A woman stood out front crying and looking lost as people ran in and out with items. Then, Mr. Crimson slowed down. It took me a second to figure out why. And then, I saw. On our left was a house, and sitting on the steps was a little girl. She was a baby, a toddler, and she sat there, holding something, crying and screaming. People ran in and out of the house and around her as if she wasn't there. They carried things from that house. It was obvious they were looting.
"Dear God,"
Mr. Crimson said, and pulled over.
"If something happens to me, Violet, you don't wait. You slide right over and try to drive this car. Got it?"
"I can't drive."
"You may have to."
He put the car in gear and opened the door. I knew what he was doing. My heart raced and pounded. I was scared for him. All those people bumping into each other, knocking each other over, and Mr. Crimson raced like a football player into the mob and straight to the little girl. I didn't think he could move so fast, but he did. He swept up the girl and hurried back to the car. He just tossed her my way and put the car in gear before he even closed the door. The little girl smelled. She was dirty, and I bet she was hungry. She clutched an empty bottle and smashed a blanket to her chest.
"Hold her,"
Mr. Crimson told me. I did. I didn't have a choice.
"Put your arms around her and let her feel you."
Kids weren't my specialty, and I wasn't very good with them. But the second I held that little girl, she grabbed me. I felt so bad for her. She cried and screamed out, "Mama," over and over. I knew how she felt. I opened my book bag, grabbed water, and put some in her bottle. I had some crackers, but I didn't know if she was too young for them or not. I focused on the toddler, who was about 2. Her diaper was dirty and soaking wet. I could feel it seeping through to my jeans. I didn't care. She took my focus off getting through that town, and eventually we did. "Please," I prayed, "please let my mother be there." We couldn't get into the parking lot of Walmart. They wouldn't let us. So Mr. Crimson parked on the edge and told me to go and check. It was safe, and he was going to stay back with the baby. He asked for the T-shirt in my bag and said he was going to clean up the child while I went. I can remember having to walk all the way across the Walmart parking lot at Christmas time, and it seemed like a mile. With it being empty and my being scared, it seemed even longer. It was the end of my journey. I knew it. I didn't even need to ask if my mother was there. Just as I made it to the table, I could see through the glass windows into the store, and my mother passed by. I saw my mother. She was fine. Alive. We found her. I ran and was stopped by some man. "Leave me alone!" I screamed and kicked and fought. "My mother is inside."
"You can't go in there."
"Please, let me see my mother. Please," I cried. "I've been looking for 2 days."
"I'm sorry, I can't. These are detainees."
"And the meteor comes tomorrow. How can you be like this? Just let her go. Why are you keeping her?" He shook his head with this weird look, almost a smile.
"Little girl, she's safer than you are right now."
"Can you tell her I'm here? Can you? Can you tell her I'll be here tomorrow when they lift the detention?"
"I'll tell her. But you don't want to be here when they lift the detention."
"Why?"
"It's going to be dangerous, insane. There won't be any order, any military or law presence. Not only are all those people going to run for their freedom, people are going to rush into this store to see what's left."
I understood what he said. I peeked around him to see my mother, and she was gone. There were so many people there that she was just absorbed into the masses. I felt an overwhelming wave of sadness, but I was still relieved that I found my mother. I trusted he would give the message to my mom. He took her name. I hoped he would. I waited a little bit more in hopes that I would see her again, but I didn't. Then I ran as fast as I could across the parking lot to the car. "She's there! She's there!" I shouted happily. Mr. Crimson hugged me. The original plan was to find her and wait, but since we had the baby with us, we had to head back home. There was enough gas in the car for one more trip. He'd bring me back. Mr. Crimson said he didn't think it would be as bad tomorrow, because people would be looking for shelter. But we didn't know. It was only a guess. The only thing we knew for sure was the location of my mother. We found her, Nana. We found my mom. Vi. October 21st. It looks like I have a new friend. She really is a nice little girl. She stopped crying in the car. Mr. Crimson said she was fine to eat the crackers. Not the beef jerky, though. Mrs. Crimson was overwhelmed as soon as she saw her. You know what sucks? Someone just left her. How could they do that? How could they just leave their baby like that? Mr. Crimson said he doesn't think the parents left her. He feels that the parents were probably killed in the looting of the house. That's sad. I feel really bad for her. She doesn't know her name and can barely speak. I asked her name and she made some sort of baby gibberish sound. And she said the same sound every time. So I thought real hard about an old-fashioned name that sounded like what she said. I call her Sally. Mr. Crimson loved that I named her Sally. After we bathed her, we saw how blonde her hair was. She was so dirty. I was worried about diapers. Then Mrs. Crimson cut up some sheets and said we'd make do. We probably could train her soon anyhow. When we got back to Mr. Crimson's house, Kyle Rogers from 2 doors down was there. He is a guy in his 30s, a big black man with wild hair. He wears bright colors, like all the time. I guess because he likes them. I mean, who is going to say anything to him? He plays guitar, used to sit on his porch all the time and play. He lives in that little house, and he always seemed too big to live there. I used to see him pull in really late at night, carry in his equipment. We weren't allowed to talk to him because my mom said he smoked marijuana. Oh, who cares? So many people do. Anyhow, Kyle was over the house. He came over to see if Mrs. Crimson needed anything. That was nice of him. Then Mr. Crimson invited him to stay with us until we figure out a next step. Kyle was alone. He was really happy because he'd been worried about freezing. I don't get it. I mean, Kyle brought stuff over, but not that much. Mr. and Mrs. Crimson are sharing everything. My mother would never have done that. Maybe it's a good thing. Kind of funny. I am seeing a new side to humanity just as humanity is starting to end. It's not a bad thing. It gives me hope. Plus, I think Mr. Crimson asked Kyle to join us because he's a younger guy and could be more helpful if there were problems. The Crimson house really is a good option for surviving the cold. That big fireplace will heat the entire room. Kyle came in handy for another reason. Mrs. Crimson said, "We need to find clothes for Sally." It dawned on me that I didn't have clothes, and we had all those bags of clothes Uncle Gene sent over. Yes, I will resort to wearing old clothes, ugly or not. There were baby clothes, too. Kyle helped me carry over the bags and the 2 kerosene heaters. Until we left for Kentucky, I wanted Mom and me to stay here. I'm also not leaving Sally. I wonder what Uncle Gene thought when he got to Kentucky and saw you. Bet he was happy. Tomorrow is not going to be a good day. The military is pulled tonight to move hospital patients. And the prison? They are releasing the less dangerous ones in the morning. There was talk on the radio of releasing the rest 3 days post-meteor. Mr. Crimson said he isn't worried. 3 days after, a lot of people will be too consumed with what has happened to remember those left in the prisons. I'm scared, Nana. I'm scared about not getting back here, of something happening to us when we go get Mom. Tomorrow, the world will forever change, and despite all of my mother's planning to have us safe and sound, we're not. We're in the thick of it. I know you guys are probably worried about us not getting there yet. Please let my father come for us. Please. Vi. October 21st. The sky is really filled with stars tonight. The meteor is huge. You can't miss it. It looks like another planet. I'm taking a mental picture of this, because this is probably the last clear sky I see for a long time. Good night, Nana. I love you. Vi. October 22nd. I am going to write the word scream because you can't hear me. Scream! I am so mad, Nana. I woke up and Mr. Crimson and Kyle were gone. They left before the sun came up to go get my mother. I wanted to go. How dare they leave without me? It is my mother. Mrs. Crimson said they couldn't with a clear conscience let me go. I was too young and things were too dangerous. Plus, they needed to find weapons. She said,
Violet, as a mother, I wouldn't want you anywhere that you aren't safe.
I wanted to yell and argue, but I couldn't. I didn't want to fight with her. She brought up the fact that what if I got hurt, how upset my mother would be. How about how upset I will be if something happens to my mother and I never see her again? I am so mad. So mad. Vi. October 22nd. Where are they? The meteor is coming in 2 hours. Sally is playing nice on the floor, and I'm by the window watching. I haven't calmed down much, but now I'm fired up about something else. Soldiers showed up at the house. They were phony nice. They said to Mrs. Crimson,
We're checking to see if you have enough gasoline.
Isn't that nice? Mrs. Crimson replied. But I'd say no. However, we have no plans to go anywhere.
Mind if we look around?
Look around? I watched them. They searched the house, outside, and in the basement. The one soldier told the other there wasn't any, and they should go. Wait, I called out. Aren't you leaving any?
Excuse me?
The younger soldier asked. Gas. You asked if she had enough? Obviously she doesn't. Aren't you dropping off gas? They just walked out the door. How wrong is that? I shouted. You're deceiving people, or else they'd lie and say they didn't have any. Why? Why are you doing that? Just as they crossed the arch of the door, the one looked back at me.
Look, we don't want to deceive anyone, but you're right. No one would let us in if we didn't ask the question like that. Truth is, we got orders to seize all gas for essential services.
You're taking people's gas? How are they supposed to go south or get help after the door shut? They left.
Violet.
Mrs. Crimson tried to calm me. No, it's wrong. It's so wrong. I went back to my seat at the window. I watched them walk into my house. They came out with nothing and put a red X on the door. I guess that meant it was empty. They did that to a few other houses as well. Anne's house had a big red X on it. They had a huge truck full of gas containers. I guess even with the meteor coming, they can still go door to door. I wonder how many... Be back. My hands are shaking as I write this, but I have to tell you what just happened. I was sitting here writing when I heard arguing. Mr. Henning was yelling,
What are we supposed to do? Give it back? Looters took my car. You took our only bartering item.
He yelled something else, something about the soldiers killing his family, and bang! I heard a gunshot. I thought for sure the soldiers shot him, until I saw the one stagger. And you know what happened next? Mr. Henning shot the other soldier. He went down right away. Then, to be sure, he shot the first one again, before he could fire back. I jumped up and ran to the door.
Violet, don't go out there.
I didn't listen. I wasn't scared. Mr. Henning wasn't going to shoot me. He wasn't. I watched his dogs and took his kids to the park. Plus, what did Mr. Crimson say? They aren't going to hurt me if I don't have anything they want. Mrs. Crimson screamed my name once more, but I ran out of the house and into the street. The soldier was just laying there. I didn't know if he was dead or needed help. Just as I knelt down, I saw Mr. Henning and his family jump into the military truck. He stopped as he was about to get in the driver's seat. He looked at me.
Violet, come on, get in.
I didn't reply.
You can't stay here, Violet. Let's go. Come with us. We're headed south.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for my mother." What else was I supposed to say? Was I going to ask him why he shot the soldiers? It was obvious why. The soldiers took his gas, and he took their truck. The soldier was dead. He was shot in the head. I couldn't react. I never saw anyone dead before. He was young, too, not much older than Paul. Then, I saw his gun. My hands were shaking, and I don't know if it was wrong. But I took his gun. Not the big one, but the one by his hand, the handgun. He had ammunition on his belt, a clip, and I grabbed that too. Then I closed his eyes, because they were just staring out. I felt it. The blood from his head was against my knees. So I jumped up. Did I just rob a dead man? I was scared and ready to run when I heard the other soldier moan. He was still alive. I could see his leg moving, and he rocked back and forth. I didn't know what to do, and that's when I saw the radio on the dead soldier's belt. I picked it up and called into it. At first, they thought I was joking and yelled at me. Then, they believed me. I told them that a man had shot the soldiers and took their stuff, and that the soldiers were lying in the street. I gave them the address, and then I ran to my own house. I took the gun and ammunition and tucked it between my mattress and box spring. Mrs. Crimson started to yell at me when I came back, but then she hugged me. She washed my hands and face. An hour and a half until the meteor hits. It's been 20 minutes since I used the radio. The soldiers are still laying in the street. Vai. October 22nd. It was 9:20. I know this because I looked at the clock. Mrs. Crimson was trying to get Sally to eat when everything started rumbling. I could hear every glass in the kitchen rattle. Even the picture frames were moving. I looked at Mrs. Crimson. I thought maybe the meteor had already struck and we were feeling the earthquake. I thought that, and then I looked at the time. Then, it got really loud, like a plane was right overhead. A roar. We all ran outside. I knew what it was. I didn't expect to see it, not like I did. But I am glad I ran outside. It sailed over our heads. It glowed orange and fiery with a huge tail of smoke, a tail as thick and wide as it was. I swore it was going to land, but it kept going. It was so big. I can't even describe the feeling I got in the pit of my stomach, watching it go to its destination, knowing that it would land shortly, thinking of everyone else who stood and watched it go by. My mother, Mr. Crimson, and Kyle are still not here yet. The soldiers are still in the street. October 22nd. My mother made it back just after my last letter. She hugged me quick and then snapped into action with Mr. Crimson, Kyle, and another man they brought with them. I felt lost in the shuffle, but I know they are bracing, sort of like for an unexpected hurricane. They are putting doors up over the windows as best they can. She said they'll fix it better later. T-minus 22 minutes until impact, 40 minutes until the earthquake, 50 until the particles fall, and then the big one is the blast winds. That's what I fear. What will they bring in? We have to go to the street now. I don't want to be in the street. What happened to Tom? The soldiers are still there. October 22nd. It happened. Then the earthquake came. It's so dark, and I'm too upset right now. I'm okay, though. Just scared and numb. I promise to write more. Vai. October 24th. We picked up a radio signal for the first time since the impact. It was filled with static. I don't think we'll get many more. They say the meteor caused a fireball so intense over the Bering Sea that it is evaporating. That's just hearsay. No one can get close enough. It's too hot. I keep on waiting for that fireball to reach us. Just my fear, I guess. But everything out west is burning. We boarded up the windows to the Crimson family area. They had to be reinforced. It was everything David said, and more. The earthquake was strong. It didn't last long, but it shook everything. Kyle's house just tumbled. The one and only thing my mother grabbed from Walmart was a box of painter's masks. It was a good thing she did, because the fallout came about 10 minutes after the earthquake. It was like rain. Gray, hot pieces of rain. They burned to the touch. Some of the trees caught fire. Kyle and the new guy, Scott, kept hosing down the house like they do in California. Kyle got burned. Tiny specks of welts down his arms. The ash kept falling like snow. I watched from the window, but Mrs. Crimson and Sally stayed in the sealed family room. My mother was out there like a trooper, fighting to keep the property safe with everyone. Then came the winds. Not a single leaf remained on a tree. Well, that is, if they weren't burned. Windows broke everywhere. Roofs blew off. That was what I saw after it was done. See, I saw the cloud, the blast wave rolling in. It was huge and black, and inside, it glowed as if the cloud was on fire. We all ran for cover, staying in the basement. I thought for sure nothing would be left. I thought for sure it was just the fireball ready to vaporize us. Sally cried. She screamed and cried. I think the bravest person was Mrs. Crimson. She didn't flinch. But we survived it. It's quiet now. Besides me, my mother, the Crimsons, Sally, Kyle, and the new guy, a couple from the next street over are here. 10 people. Rationing supplies will be a must. Yesterday, the sky was glowing orange, as if the atmosphere was on fire. Today, it's getting dark. How terrible is it? No one ever came for those soldiers. Debris fell on them. Trees. Ash. Kyle and Scott moved them to a yard and covered them. It is everyone's responsibility to forage. I told my mother that I was sorry they took all her supplies. She said, "Violet, not everything." Of course, did I mention she asked me why I didn't just take Tom's car? Why was that the second time an adult suggested I drive? I asked about Tom. She said they took him back to Cleveland. He boasted of his contacts, and they took him. Anyhow, Mom had supplies hidden in Tom's car. Where the spare wheel was supposed to be, under the trunk, was filled with bagged food. Food was stashed inside the back seat and doors. At first, I thought she was going to hide them and not share. But she brought them to the Crimsons. We're good if we ration. For how long? We don't know. I don't know. It's not cold yet, but I am sure it will be. Mom and Mr. Crimson haven't stopped. They're hitting every house still standing and collecting all the water they can from the water heaters. I wish she would stop. I wish she would just not be a super survivor and just be my mom. I need her. Vi. October 25th. It's hard to write. I am using a flashlight. We are on candle and light conservation. Not that we need to right now, but who knows how long we'll be here. We haven't lit the fireplace yet. It's actually warm when everyone is in the same room. I remember David saying a few months and things will start to lighten up. But by then, it will be cold. It's so dark out. I mean pitch black. No stars, no moon. Dark blackness. You can't even see your hand in front of your face. A wall of black. There is no sound, like we're in a void. I had this fantasy, Nana. I didn't tell anyone, but I was hoping that my dad left when we didn't show up. That he came for us. I hope he hasn't left now. I can't imagine how dangerous it is to drive. I know he's worried about me. I know Paul is. And you have to be sick over it all. I am. I try to be strong. but I'm sad. I play with Sally. That helps. Mrs. Crimson started coughing because of the dust and ash. Even though it's not dusty inside, my mother is making her wear a damp mask to help filter it out. I guess we'll all be getting the cough sooner or later. How can we not? Vi. October 26th. It started to thunder. There doesn't seem to be any wind, but there's thunder. I'm actually looking forward to the lightning so it lights up the sky. Everyone has the cough today. Kyle actually coughs as loud as his body is big. He also barely has a voice. The new guy, Scott, has a female-sounding cough. Sally and I don't have it yet. I get a tickle here and there, but not the cough. I have a theory. I think because I was quiet, I inhaled less. And Sally, she cried so much nothing was getting in her lungs. Mr. Crimson said it is definitely from inhaling the dust, and it just has to work its way out. We increased water rations. Aside from playing with Sally and sitting around listening to people cough, there's not much to do. Vi. October 27th. You're probably wondering why my letters have been so short. I should write a long one, maybe even a story. But it's hard to balance the light and write, and I am so bored. I never thought there was such a thing as bored and scared. That's me. There is absolutely nothing to do but wait. Sit around and wait. Talk. We ask each other questions. My mom and the others have been trying to come up with a plan. She said she and David had a contingency. If she didn't make it to Kentucky, she was to stay put on our street. If she had to leave the house, she was to leave word somehow where she went. David will send a rescue truck up in 3 months. 3 months of this. Everyone is asleep. It sounds like a doctor's office in here. Everyone is hacking in their sleep. I'm keeping my mouth covered in case that meteor brought a space virus and everyone got it. I don't know what time it is. I can't see the clock. I know it's after midnight. I hope. Can you imagine if it was actually 12 in the afternoon? The wind-up alarm clock goes off at 12, twice a day. But at some point, we're gonna get confused if it is day or night. Kyle said he is marking on the calendar. If he hasn't marked it, it's not daylight yet. I thought I would take this moment to tell you about the people in the shelter with me. That way you have a visual. Sally is short and pudgy, with blonde hair. She is so cute. Wait until you see her. She has taken a liking to me. I hope she doesn't think I'm her mother. She doesn't talk. She says mama and, oh yeah, she says Vi. You know what my mother looks like. By the way, she told me about her detention. Said it wasn't bad. They just all hung around Walmart. Most of the shelves were bare, though. Kyle, I told you what he looks like. On the bright side, his one guitar that was in a hard case survived. He played this afternoon. Not much, and not very good. But don't tell him. His fingers are still burned. Mr. and Mrs. Crimson. She isn't short like most older people. She is actually tall and strong, and looks younger. She says she feels her age, though. She was a cook at Bell's Diner until she retired. How about that? Mr. Crimson is real tall, with a barrel belly. He was the shop teacher at my school until he retired. Now that guy's Scott. He's kind of bald with round glasses. He was a computer guy. Sheila and Max, they look alike. Both young, dark hair, quiet. They worked together at the bank. They were tellers, so they didn't make much money. But they are both in school. Or rather, they were. They don't say much. Sheila always asks if there's anything she can do. It's funny. In every apocalypse movie I've seen, or story I read, there is always conveniently a medical person in the group. We don't have one. The closest is my mother, and she was a cashier at the drugstore. That doesn't even count. The family room was an addition that Mr. Crimson put on the house. Kyle said it's a solid structure. It's off of the back of the kitchen. The living room and dining room are off of the other end of the kitchen. All the windows on the first floor are covered. They had to seal off the second floor because the window shattered. For the most part, we are all staying in the family room. But for sleeping, everyone scatters about the first floor. It's not very big, probably why Mr. Crimson built the addition. The Crimsons are the strongest people I have met. You know they are worried about their children, but they don't say anything. They keep helping others. Now that I have given you a visual and have rambled a while, I'm going to end this. Mrs. Crimson is coughing really bad. I'm going to see if she needs water. I love you. Bye-bye. October 28th. This morning it was weird. Mom had us all try as best we could to sweep and clear the dust. Scott siphoned gas from Tom's car and was able to get enough in the small generator to run the vacuum. We have to. Mrs. Crimson is really sick. She's not fevered or anything, but her cough is horrible. My cough has started, but it's more of a tickling. Everyone else hacks and sounds sluggish after a few hard coughs. To me, it sounds like it's breaking up in people. But Mrs. Crimson's cough is just hard. That's the best way I can describe it. My mother said it isn't a productive cough, and she fears that dust has settled into her lungs. She said we need an expectorant for her. She's sitting up and moving and practicing deep breathing, but I can see it's hard for her. Mr. Crimson is really worried. He keeps saying,
Donna, you need me to help you?
He started patting her back. Maybe he's trying to loosen the stuff in her lungs. This afternoon, we'll venture out into the dark, black world and search the houses that are left for cough syrup and any other medicine we can find. I don't know why we didn't think of it sooner. They're letting me go look. I'll be Kyle's partner. It took some convincing, but I said, how can I successfully tell the end of the world story to my Nana if I am stuck in a boarded-up room? This entire journal is going to sound like something from the Diary of Anne Frank. Kyle said,
She has a point. I hated that story.
Teenage ramblings, I added, all because she really couldn't see what was going on.
And she died,
Kyle said.
I didn't see it coming.
How can you not have seen it coming? She was Jewish. It was the Holocaust.
True.
My mother grumbled, I guess because me and Kyle were going back and forth. It was a fun mini-conversation, but it lost its original point. Finally, my mother agreed and said the job really was a two-person job. I told Kyle we're going to go to Anne's house first. If anyone has medication, it's her house. Her mother was the biggest hypochondriac. Bye-bye. October 28th. I am fast becoming convinced that Kyle is not the sharpest knife in the drawer. He continued the Anne Frank conversation and said the book ended abruptly. I tried not to say anything, but then he said there should have been a sequel. He needs to stick to playing guitar. Anne's house was a gold mine of medicine. Ibuprofen, cough syrup, cold medicine, vapor rub. As soon as we got back, we gave Mrs. Crimson a good dose and rubbed her down. Sheila put the vapor rub on her feet. I didn't get why, but she said her grandmother always put it on her feet with socks when she had a cough. It seems to be working on Mrs. Crimson. Her cough is quieter. Then again, she had cough syrup as well. Everyone took a dose, except me. I don't need it. There were only 10 houses on my street that were safe enough to enter, and we all found a lot of stuff. It was weird out there. If I tell you it was dark one more time, you'll probably think, okay, Vi, I get it. It was dark. But my eyes wouldn't adjust. And when we aimed the flashlight beam, it only lit what we aimed at. It was kind of cool, though, watching the dancing beams of light as we all went different ways down the street. The ash is very weird beneath your feet, almost velvety. My mother is cooking tonight. Minute rice topped with gravy, peas, and a slice of beef jerky. Break out the clean peaches, and it's a party. Hopefully Mrs. Crimson will eat. She hasn't gotten up much at all this afternoon. Vi. October 29th. No sun for nearly a week, and the temperature is really dropping. I've been waiting for the lightning, but it hasn't come yet. It still thunders. I wonder what will happen when it rains. I can't believe it has been a week since the meteor hit. I wonder if anywhere in the world is up and running. If somewhere in the world people are sending out help to us. My mother showed me a map of the heavily affected areas. It's pretty global, and the pockets of hope are Italy and Africa. But still, I know the meteor was almost as big as the one that caused the start of the dinosaur extinction, but the world didn't catch on fire. We can't get a radio signal, but somewhere out there, someone is doing something, right? On a funny note, Kyle went through the bag of Uncle Gene's clothes. He found Uncle Gene's ugly red and green Christmas sweater and put it on. He said he likes bright colors because they make him look less threatening. He's funny. I like him. I can't wait until he actually plays that guitar correctly. I would think someone that spent that much time on his porch playing would be better. He said his fingers are almost healed. Good. I can't take any more of his bad note hitting. I can't pretend anymore that it sounded awesome. Vi. October 30th. Mrs. Crimson has taken a turn for the worse. She was holding Sally on her lap and had to put her down. I feel really bad. I don't understand. She was doing really well yesterday. We were laughing and joking. Now she's sick. Mr. Crimson is so stressed out, he's losing his voice. I'm scared because Mrs. Crimson said something to me. She said, "Violet, don't be so hard on your mom." You don't think she was giving me advice because she thinks she is going to die? I hope not. Please let her get better. Max and Sheila are acting weird, too. My mother said it's the lack of light, and it's causing them to get depressed. Things aren't getting better. Kyle said he doesn't care if it is dark or not. If Mrs. Crimson isn't better by morning, he's going out to find help. Either a person or a drugstore that may have antibiotics. We found 4 antibiotic pills when we were salvaging the houses. It's not enough. Vi. October 31st. Kyle said enough is enough, and he left. Not for good, but to get help. Despite the fact that even Mrs. Crimson begged him not to go, he refused. He said they opened their home and shared their food, and he wasn't going to sit by and watch her get worse. Not without trying. That is beyond cool. Scott went with Kyle. Both Tom's car and Max's car were in a garage. They took some gas from Max's car. Even though Max's house burnt down, his garage was detached and the car was fine. They had plans to go south after the meteor hit. Then they lost their holdout supplies when the house was destroyed. Mom gave them 2 flashlights, the best ones we had, the handgun I took from the dead soldier, and batteries. She also gave them some food in case they got stuck. What is up with my mother and those batteries? It really doesn't surprise me that she was arrested for hoarding, not with the way she keeps pulling out hidden things. Kyle laughed at my mother and her planning. He said he knew of 4 small pharmacies and a Walgreens, all within 2 miles. He'd drive slow and walk. Things were dark. They weren't buried. His sense of direction couldn't be completely gone and disoriented. I watched them pull down the street in Mr. Crimson's car. We didn't even think it would start. It did. All I saw was the headlights reflecting off the floating ash. They moved slowly. They had to. I watched until they were out of sight. Mrs. Crimson cried. She said she'd blame herself if something happened. Max said he wasn't sure how much longer he and Sheila would stay. They wanted to go too. Not to get help for Mrs. Crimson and not to run away, but to see if there was another place to go, maybe another refugee station. My mother asked them what the difference was. We had enough supplies to hold up for another month or two, plus the ability to stay warm. Max had a good answer.
Medical help. What happens if one of us gets really sick or hurt?
I wonder, is there anything out there? Any help at all? I'm also worried about Sally. Not that she's sick, but what if she gets sick? Like Max said. Then what? I don't want anything to happen to Sally. Maybe my mother shouldn't fight them about leaving. A part of me wants them to go and see if something is out there. Kyle and Scott have been gone for hours. I'm starting to get worried. The roads have to be black, hard to drive on. I hope nothing went wrong. Vi. October 31st. Mrs. Crimson lay down to take a nap, and she won't wake up. She's breathing funny, almost like she's snoring. My mom keeps calling her name and wiping her off with wet towels. Mr. Crimson keeps saying,
Donna, come on. Donna, wake up. Please get up.
Sally is crying because she can sense everything, and Max is arguing with my mom. He says we should just put her in a car and try to find help.
Where?
My mother screamed at him.
Where? There may not be any help out there.
I'm really worried now. Kyle is not back, and it started lightning. Vi. October 31st. Kyle and Scott came back. Oh, Nana, I was so glad when I heard his big voice call out. He came in during the arguing about moving Mrs. Crimson. He had a small oxygen tank and some antibiotics. But if Mrs. Crimson doesn't wake up, I don't know how she'll take them. Maybe the oxygen will help. It's hard with the dim lights to tell how pale her skin is. I can only imagine. We started the fireplace because she is cold to the touch. I just want to hold Sally and pray. Kyle said he had news. I'll write more when he tells us. Vi. October 31st. The drugstores were barren. That's what Kyle said. At least the ones that were close, and he and Scott had to drive for a while. He said driving out there was like driving on a moonless night, heavy clouds on a dark country road. The headlights helped, but they could only see maybe 20 feet in front of them. I asked him what it was like, and he told me it was like staring out into a dark sky with speckles of stars. But they weren't stars. They were candles, fires, whatever people had lit. People survived. It was when they finally found a drugstore with items that they ran into someone else. A man. He wasn't dangerous, he was there for bandages. He told Kyle there were about 4 or 5 people in his group. He helped Kyle get the things he needed for Mrs. Crimson. He said a lot of people were sick from the ash. If you go closer to the city and just listen, you can hear the coughs echoing. Anyhow, the biggest news was that he told Kyle another center opened up, at the Civic Center, and that trucks started rolling in yesterday. The man didn't see this. He heard from another man, who heard from another. The rumor was that while they didn't have all the supplies, if you showed up with your own, they offered shelter, heat, and medical attention if needed. That was the rumor. That was what took Kyle so long. He and Scott had to ride into town. Going slow at minimum speed made the 10-minute trip take an hour. He didn't get close to the Civic Center, but he saw a lot of light. Enough to tell him people were there. The Johnston Center, 2 blocks away, was pitch black. Of course, that shelter is underground. Whether anyone was at either place was a mystery. There are no longer people outside, though. The debate began whether or not to try to take Mrs. Crimson to the new center. Mr. Crimson said no. It was his wife and let her go. What does that mean? Let her go. But I saw the look on my mother's face. I know she wants to try. Maybe Mr. Crimson will change his mind in the morning. I did ask Kyle about the lightning, and he said it was pretty awesome. It lit up everything when it flashed, and you could see how bad things were. He told me to write this in my letter. When the lightning erupted, it was like a flashbulb illuminating a real-life grayscale picture of dust, debris, and desolation. That was Kyle's line. He said add it to make my letters better than the Diary of Anne Frank. Even in the dark, he tries to find a way to make light. I like him. I like him a lot. Vi. November 1st. Mrs. Crimson died last night. We all kind of knew it was going to happen. She never woke up. I was holding Sally in the chair. She fell asleep across my chest. Mrs. Crimson was by the fire. Her husband was there. And my mother sat on her other side. Kyle was sitting on this little stool that looked way too tiny for him. I had just closed my eyes to try to sleep when I heard Kyle exhale heavily. You know, that noise that startles you? Then, my mom said, "I'm sorry, Carl. She's gone." I got this lump in my stomach when I heard my mother say that. I felt so bad. I sat up and looked across the room. She didn't look dead. She looked as if she were sleeping. Mr. Crimson still held her hand, and my mother turned and gave me this really sad look. It bothered my mother, hurt her. I could see it, as if somehow my mother felt that she failed. Kyle looked defeated. I wanted to cry, and I held on to Sally even tighter. It got quiet, very quiet and peaceful. They couldn't bury her, so they took her to the house next door. They said it was cold enough. It just doesn't seem right to leave her there. It's a really sad day. I miss you. Vi. November 3rd. I am really sorry for not writing yesterday, and not much today. It has been really sad. Mr. Crimson just sits there. Not even Sally makes him smile. The lightning is so bad that we can finally see outside. It's kind of freaky. It just doesn't stop. When it flashes, things look exactly like Kyle described. Kyle told me today, "Hang on, Vi. Things are going to change soon." I don't think so. Max and Sheila said they want to leave. They said they are going to seek out help or a place for us to go. They're afraid if it starts to snow and rain, that we'll be iced in. Mr. Crimson's outside thermometer says 25 degrees. Not quite ice age stuff like they're afraid of. I'll write more tomorrow. I promise. Vi. November 4th. I'm worried about Sally. Not that she's sick. She isn't. In fact, she is fine. Running, playing, laughing as if nothing has happened. Even though I am young, I got to experience things. Ice cream, movies, computers. She will never know a world like I did. She will never know a world where it is easy to eat, and it isn't dark and cold. Maybe, just maybe, it'll be better. After everything is done and the dust clears. Perhaps the world just needed a good cleansing. I hope for Sally's sake that's the case. Vi. November 4th. You are not going to believe what happened. Oh, Nana, things are so bad. Things are so bad. It was late, I guess, and the wind was howling. I don't know if it was rain or snow, but whatever it was made it so easy to sleep. Then, I heard arguing. It not only woke me up, but my mother and Kyle. They both got up and looked at each other, then raced from the room. Just as they did, there was a shot. It was the closest I ever was to a gunshot. It rang out so loud, baby Sally jumped and screamed. Then, my mother screamed. It was a weird scream. I wanted to run and see what was going on. All I could hear were voices, Kyle's deep voice saying something. Scott ran out of the family room by me and the baby. Then, back in. He raced about. A sequence of sounds that was no less than craziness. My mother, crying. Was she hurt? Oh my God. Just as I got up to find out, I heard tires spinning, like a car was stuck. It peeled with a screech and then more gunshots. Bang, bang, bang. Crash. I screamed and jumped. What was going on? What was going on? Scott brushed by me. What was he holding? A bedspread? Tablecloth? What?
Keep the baby away, my mother ordered as she rushed into the room. Stay here, Violet.
Mom, what's going on? I cradled a crying Sally close. Kyle and Scott hurried into the family room carrying Mr. Crimson. They had a blanket on him. What happened? What happened?
Mr. Crimson's been shot, my mother said.
She exhaled. Is he alive? I asked.
Yes.
They carried him out of the warm family room into the dining room. Why would they take him there? It was so cold there. Maybe the cold was needed to slow down the bleeding? Kyle, my mother, and Scott hovered around the table where they laid Mr. Crimson. I think Scott was searching for medical supplies. Not sure, but I backed up. I had to find out what happened. Common sense told me it had to be Max and Sheila. They weren't there, unless they were killed. After grabbing a blanket in the family room, I tossed it over Sally and walked to the living room. Maybe they were there. They liked to sneak in there and sleep. When I did, I saw this orange blinking light flashing between the boards that covered the window, my peek-out spot. It looked like police lights. I was excited and ran to the window. But it wasn't the police. The lightning flashed and snow fell fast. The cold air smacked against my face when I was looking out. It felt so cold it burned my eye. But not before I saw the reason for the orange light. A car had crashed into a telephone pole. Its taillights blinked and reflected against the snow. There was no movement out there at all. I went back to the family room and waited. Sally fell back to sleep in my arms. She always slept in my arms. Probably why I am always warm. After a while, Mom told me what happened. Apparently, Max and Sheila decided to leave in the middle of the night. Not just leave, but also steal a lot of our supplies. Mr. Crimson busted them, and they shot him. Kyle chased their car and shot at them. They crashed. Mr. Crimson was alive, but he'd lost a lot of blood. He was shot in the chest on the right side. He wasn't doing well. They moved him to the couch by the fire to make him more comfortable. I couldn't stop looking at him and feeling so bad. He is such a strong man. He probably thought he could reason with them or stop them. Kyle had gone back outside and came in looking frozen. I mean really looking frozen. He was covered with snow and ice. He didn't wear a coat, and he just stood by the fire. At first, he made a comment that if anyone wanted to feel warm, just go outside for a second and come back in. Then he said, they left. That Max and Sheila had abandoned the car and left. He brought back some of the supplies, but they must have carried some with them.
Could they have gotten far?
My mother asked.
In this weather? No, they're on foot. They need shelter and warmth. They took our matches.
Not all, my mother replied.
How'd I know you were going to say that?
Scott finally said something. If they're out there, they're close. They'll have to light a fire. We'll find them. Ask Kyle. Fires glow bright in this dark and you can smell them. I'm going to bundle up and look. They aren't far.
Then what?
My mother asked. Get our supplies back, at any cost. My mother was calm. She stood.
They didn't take the jars, and they didn't take anything in this room. Only what we had stored and hid. Kyle got half of that back. No, they ended up walking away only with what they would have consumed. We're fine.
Was that really my mother? Yes, it was. She was concerned about those in the shelter. She said that Max and Sheila panicked and weren't a threat. Kyle, of course, was wagering on them being dead by morning. He told us it was way too cold. Things calmed down, but no one slept. Everyone, like me, was afraid to sleep with Mr. Crimson being hurt. I just watched him. Even when I'd doze off, I'd snap awake and look at him, wait for him to take a breath. I don't want him to die. Not Mr. Crimson. Not another person. I never knew anyone who ended up dying. But in the last 2 weeks, I lost my best friend, her father, Mrs. Crimson, saw 2 soldiers get killed, and now Mr. Crimson is really bad. I don't want to see any more death. Vi. November 5th. Mr. Crimson is so strong. He told me,
"It doesn't hurt much, Violet."
but I could see on his face that it did. Mom and Kyle keep changing his bandage. He's stopped bleeding. Kyle said the bullet looked as if it went right through, but it still did damage to his chest. Mr. Crimson said it was tough to breathe, but he'd manage. When David told me that it was going to snow, and we'd be sent into the next mini ice age, I pictured snow 10 feet high, blocking out the house. But that isn't the case. The snow is falling, but it is light and steady. The wind is what is scary. It really is blowing. Scott said maybe the wind will blow the dark clouds away. Now, those dark clouds are flashing light every 20 seconds, so there is a positive to those clouds right now. Sally said, "Kai." Her attempt at Kyle. It was cute. Mr. Crimson wanted to see her and touch her, so I sat next to him. I helped him eat some soup. He said he didn't mind me helping him. "Please try to get better," I told him. "You helped me so much. Please."
"It's okay if I don't. I'm fine with that. I'm tired, Violet. Very tired."
At first, I thought he meant he needed to sleep. And when I told him I'd let him rest, he smiled and said,
"Not what I mean. I lived a long life. I'm all right if God decides to call me home."
Something has to be done. We sat around and watched his wife die. I don't want to sit around and watch Mr. Crimson die. I don't care how ready he is, because I'm not. I'm not ready for him or anyone else to go. Vi. November 6th. Something is going on. I'm not real sure. Kyle keeps going out, and so does Scott. No one will tell me anything. It's getting me mad. Vi. November 6th. We have supplies. We have water. But we have a problem. The snow that keeps falling is icy snow. It's not piling up, but it will. According to Kyle, the roof of the family room isn't going to hold. The only funny thing about the situation was Mr. Crimson's reaction that he built the addition and it was sturdy. Kyle showed my mother the crack in the ceiling. He and Scott went out and tried to clear the snow, but they said the only thing that was stopping the cold air from getting in was the block of ice that formed on the roof. Another couple of days and the roof would collapse. Yes, Mr. Crimson's addition was sturdy. Obviously, because the roof to the main house has already started to go. A part collapsed into the attic. That's what all the secret talk is about. What to do. I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen. Vi. November 7th. Kyle told my mother,
"It's today or never."
The crack in the ceiling runs all the way across. I keep watching it.
"Go without me. Leave me here,"
Mr. Crimson said. My mother replied with,
"Don't be ridiculous."
I can't believe she said that to Mr. Crimson. He's not any better, but he's not any worse. He does need help.
"We'll take our chance,"
Scott said.
"We saw the Civic Center. It's 6 miles away."
The snow? My mother asked. Kyle shook his head.
"The ash is a positive right now. It's working like salt on the road. Many places use cinder on the roads for snow removal, so it's kind of packing it. But it won't be for much longer. Maybe another few days. We have another foot. It's not gonna stop."
"We have my daughter and a baby." Kyle nodded.
"And if we stay here any longer and that roof goes, then we may not have a chance to go anywhere. So we just pack everything, every one, and trek the 6 miles to the Civic Center. That was over a week ago. What if it's full? What if it collapsed? Then what? Then we have all our supplies and we follow a light,
Kyle answered.
There are a lot of them out there. Hell, that little poetry coffee shop on 3rd has a fireplace. We can go there if the Civic Center is pointless. But we have to try, for Violet, Sally, and for Mr. Crimson. If they have medical help, we owe it to all of them to try.
My mother is a hard head. She likes things her way, and she always had it in her mind she had it together in a survival situation. But there she was, listening and relying on the advice of strangers. Well, not strangers anymore. Now, friends. Family. We have a bond. I never realized how strong my mother was or how smart she was until she listened to their rationalization and didn't argue because it wasn't her plan. However, they looked to her for approval, as if they weren't going anywhere without her say-so. She then looked at me, as if I held the answers on my face. I was holding Sally. Heck, I'm always holding Sally. It was a tough decision. I saw it on her face.
All right, she nodded. Let's get ready.
We're leaving, Nana. We're leaving. Bye-bye. November 7th. Dear Nana, this is going to be the last letter in this notebook. I am writing this as they pack the car. Every drape, blanket, tablecloth, and sheet has been placed in the car for warmth and covering. We're almost done. My mother is going back to our house before we leave and placing a note for David on where we are headed. She is including in that note our alternate locations. I'm afraid. I guess I can say that now. I know that the house isn't safe. I know that Mr. Crimson is worse than he's letting on. It's scary out there. It's dark, and the only light is the lightning. It's snowing and dangerous. My heart is pounding because I am so afraid of dying right now, that we will crash or get stuck and freeze to death out there. I don't know what will happen. All I know is that we are leaving this house. It's all unknown, but it's a chance we have to take. Funny how the only way we can survive is to take a chance on dying. Remember that time capsule David gave me? Well, I blew it off. I always thought there would be time. Now is the time. I am going to place this notebook in the time capsule by the note. I told Kyle and my mother I was leaving this notebook behind. They both thought that was a good idea. Please know that not a day has gone by when I didn't think of you, Paul, and my father. When I didn't miss you with all of my heart and wish I was there. Not a day went by when I didn't whisper, I love you, to all of you. Because I do. I love you all very much. It's not fair to you that you may never get a chance to read this. It is my hope that the dark skies will clear, and I'll go back home and get this before I find you in Kentucky. Or David's rescue team will find this and give it to you. There are still empty pages. It's a good thing. That way, whoever finds this and reads this first can finish my story. My own Diary of Anne Frank of sorts, only hopefully with a happier ending. I pray that you read this. But just on the outside chance you never get this, that God forbid something happens to me, I hope someone, somewhere, will find this and read my words. That somehow my legacy and journey will live on. Someone will know what we went through, that at the end of the world, I was hoping for the best. I leave this behind, optimistic that we will survive this, that I will grow up, and that I will see you someday soon. I love you with all my heart. Vi.
July 17th. My dearest and precious Violet, I am finishing this journal, as you requested, and am honored to do so. Before I continue, allow me to say that I am so proud of you. Your journey through the event is unprecedented,
and so much can be learned from reading what you have written. I will never forget how you believed in me, how you believed my illness would find a way, and I'd escape that prison of a body. Not 3 days after impact, I broke free. It wasn't facing and defeating the world's end that brought me out. It was the fact that I was sick with worry about you and my daughter. You, Violet, you brought me out. See, no one is going to update a non-responsive woman in a chair. I fought to come out so I could find out about you. You need to know that from day one, when you didn't show, your father fought with diligence to leave the shelter and look for you. He was arrested at the Ohio border and detained until the meteor hit. He made his way back only because he couldn't travel north. Not a day went by that he and Paul didn't want to leave. David assured them your mother was a survivor, that your mother was going to see that you made it through, no matter what, and that when the clouds broke, they'd find a way to get to you. If, that is, you didn't show up first. I knew my daughter well enough to know her love for you, and that she would do all she could. I never gave up hope in you, just like you never gave up hope. My heart broke every day I didn't see you, and cried thinking of what you were enduring. When the clouds parted a little, even just enough to let some light through, your father was prepped and ready to go. He had a rescue team and a mission. They would find you. I believed that. When I got this notebook yesterday, I read every page twice. Every word is etched in my heart. I cried so hard because I had not only your words, but you as well. I don't know if I can let you go from my arms or from my reach. I know you told me your story, but to read it, to see the people you wrote about as they walked into the shelter, alive and well, it is overwhelming. I feel as if I know them all. Scott, Kyle, Mr. Crimson, and Sally. All because of your words. You have grown years in just 9 months. Sally is amazing, and that is all due to you. Your mother and Kyle told me you took her under your wing, and even at the Civic Center, you wouldn't hand her over. You became a very young second mother to her. Mr. Crimson told me how proud he was of you, and I couldn't agree more. He told me last night that you and Kyle made living at the Civic Center tolerable and amusing. I can see that, and I can't wait to read the notebook you wrote there. First thing is first. So as you asked in your previous and last letter, I so proudly finish your story. I am glad you and the others made it to safety and made it here, alive and well. Thank you for never giving up on me. You are an amazing gift to my life. I love you with all my heart, and more than words can ever say. Nana.